All right, everyone. I want to thank you all so much for hanging in there for a bit of time here to get some things straightened out, but we are ready to go tonight, this wonderful Thursday evening, for some more D&D right here on Lionhead Gaming. And since it's Thursday, you know what time it is. It means it's time for some more Song of Rapture, as DM'd by the wonderful DM, Mr. Omen. Mr. Omen, you ready? And without further ado, I hand it off to you.
So when we last left our valiant vanguard, they had just returned triumphant from what seemed to be both a mentally, emotionally, and in some strange ways physically taxing event that led to the return to form of one of their allies. But what exactly happened isn't really my story to tell, so can someone tell me what happened in the last episode of Song of Rapture?
So last time on the Song of Rapture, the group, after completing some downtime in Sand Place,
Roka.
Cedarwood,
Roka.
Cradle Key?
not that one, Cradle Keep. There you go.
Creative Keep.
After completing some downtime in Cradle Keep, getting items made, and working with the Incantation of 10 for their own individual projects, the group decided to teleport over to Roka to meet with Tamar Khan's brother to help fix Luna's broken arm. And upon doing so, they came face to face with a bunch of Kinkus, which several members of the party knew of, and also knew that they didn't really coexist with people the way that they do here. They seem to be of, I guess, a more prestigious ranking in the city. After speaking with one named TikTok, they discovered that the king could not meet with them, and that he or she is TikTok a girl or a boy? I don't remember.
You don't know.
Don't know.
Bird. My gender
TikTok,
is bird.
they decided to bring us over to where we would find Tamar Khan's brother. And upon meeting him, he introduced himself as Tamar Khan's brother, as well as, I guess, a sort of sorcerer himself, different from Tamar Khan's more martial backing. Tamar Khan's brother brought the group over to the ponds of the King's Gardens, where he said that would had healing properties that would work for Luna's arm, as a way of bringing different planes from another side over to this world. And Luna was initially fearful because the last time the Shadowfell seeped into our world, it seemed to make an entire town go dark for many years. But trusting Tamar Khan's brother, she sank to the bottom and started to traverse to a different plane where the party would see shadows start reaching up towards her ominously. And everyone except Swift Hollow diving in to go save Luna until, it seemed getting TikTok wasn't the answer. They were pulled to the Shadowfell, where they found themselves as a strange mirror of this lake, surrounded by creepy little fish creatures that seem to try and bite out at them, along with some strange humanoid creatures that seem to be rotting themselves. As the party defended Luna and killed these creatures, Luna heard voices, or at least a specific voice that reminded her of her adopted father, who, if you were there for those sessions, discovered that he was a vampire who seemed to be using Luna to walk in the daylight like she can. So after killing these creatures, the party realized that, the party was just sucked back into the prime material plane, seemingly as if this was the plan all along. Several hours later, with Luna's arms healed, and they decided that next they're either going to speak with the king or just enjoy the town for a while.
All right, well done, Nick. Give yourself some DM inspiration.
I already have it.
Uh-oh, then that means you have to roll yourself a D100.
Oh, shucks. Oh, well.
Oh no, you died.
I made
Fucking
fuck
died.
out of it that it did for
Got a new one.
Let's see.
RD&D, my DM killed me in recap.
All right. All
Like the
right.
last 3 D100s that we've rolled have all been bad.
They
So,
have
No,
been.
it's fine. That's why you just cut it off at 50. You just do the inverse for anything below 50.
let's see. As indeed, it seems like after their traverse into the plane of shadows, the Valiant Vanguard has returned with their ally Luna, the life restored within her hand, and now it seems like a new compatriot of theirs, the brother of Tamar Khan, seems to be leading them to what was promised to be through the sort of vocoded message from Jedi al-Sahir, the Wizard King, that he was planning on having a dinner for them back at the actual Golden Tower. And it seems that that time has come quite quickly. Time has very quickly passed since they last stepped into the water, and it seems like dinner has been set upon them. As we will rejoin our Valiant Vanguard traveling through the now evening city of Roka, heading back from these gardens towards the large golden towers ahead. Is there anything you want to do along the way? Seems like Manager Khan is basically just making some small idle chit-chat with you, Tamar Khan, just sort of leading the way. Still somewhat pleased with himself with how everything seemed to turn out.
That is, where exactly are we headed? It seems like you cut out a pretty place for yourself here. Have you been here a lot?
Off and on from several times. I try not to keep myself located in one place for too long. Too many moving pieces in the grand plan to find myself too idle. But yes, I feel a special connection to these healing waters here. And what I have to offer to those travelers, those very similar to your friend here, is something I believe the rest of the city may not have to offer. A means of healing those harmed in both the spiritual and mental way.
Well, certainly, I saw it was so nice. Have you, do they serve the same purpose? Have you been able to speak to the sub?
Only in brief moments, I suppose. I may see his form rippling upon its surface like a mirror, but this place is the closest I have without traversing the great dangers myself. But I hold on to his lessons.
And I would love to hear from her again.
Who is it you're
As-
talking about?
The old teacher of ours. She she liked my older brother the best, but a teacher of my father even, and older. The serpent of the mirrored waters. She is a creature of the fact. Well, of sorts, I think. I was never the best of students, to be honest. She is the one that taught my father about the plants and all of this. Could this
You
even
not
been
being a
the
good
reason
student.
why-
It is not too hard to imagine. But you said the serpent of the mirrored waters.
Yes. She
He's a
is the one
great-
that made the Monkey King the Monkey King, I suppose.
A wise and old entity of shifting form and nature. Truthfully, one cannot always call her a woman. It always seems to be changing. But you would know this had you attended more of these lessons, little brother. But I cannot blame you. Such things are the nature of a wandering mind.
I mean, obviously, she I don't know. She's not exactly take the same form as one of us. But I know I saw her as a she, I suppose.
Was she always around? In the
What do you mean?
Feywild?
Oh, I do not know about that. I know she opens the way for my father to get there, and I always thought of her as being a part of that place, but she spoke Persephone, you might know, she spoke in the primordial tongue. She is she did not speak in a Sylvan, as many of the others did. Although she knew it, I do not know exactly where she originally came from. Mandri, do you know?
Does that sound familiar to me, God? The story of this shape-shifting androgynous serpent creature?
Roll me an Arcana check.
Oh, okay.
Do it. Make your dreams come true.
A 10!
You have heard many stories about many spirits that reside beyond the plane you're in, especially those of the Fae. You know that many of them hold this power, more so than any other spirit, those of the elements or those of the shadows or the death. They have the power to pull others between the veil. The Fae are especially capable of shifting and thinning the veil in moments to, for the most part, through mischievous manners, to pull people into the other world, or at least make them lost when they normally would find themselves certain on their path. A serpent of the waters pulling them through sounds very plausible as far as stories go, but anything specific, nothing particularly rings to mind.
Did she not tell you any stories or anything of other places? Other planes of existence?
Not me, or if she did, I may not have been paying attention. I'm sure she told my father countless stories.
Did you ever skip those lessons to do something else that you thought was more interesting, or did you just have to sit there and suffer through lectures? Because I kind of know what that's
Definitely
like.
skip them.
A little bit of this and a little bit of that. My nature is that of the wanderer, I suppose. I sort of always seek out not sitting in one place. Being a student, I've done it several times, and I always seem to be fighting against it. She was a good teacher, though. Do not get me wrong.
Does this ring any bells for me with some fact-finding questions here?
Roll me an Arcana check. Just trying to piece together what you know of the worlds and the worlds beyond, whether through innate knowledge or knowledge of what you've studied.
Ooh, nice.
Oh.
Oh,
Again.
no!
Serpents are more or less your forte, Samantha. You understand the connection that these very simple design creatures have and the primordial nature they have in the connection with the world. Serpents were one of the oldest creatures created in the world of Hearth. But this sort of seems outside of your reach or your domain. It definitely rings true that there could be an ancient entity, possibly of the Fae or something else, that has a connection between the worlds, but besides that, nothing that you've ever interacted with or had control or connection to.
It kind of checks out because I think I was thinking of one fan of changing between animal forms, and that's probably the wrong fan of doing that anyway. So,
Monty Card, you. I don't know why I said that with an accent. You.
It is contagious.
it's contagious, yeah.
Planeswalker.
We need Rome.
Have you met many others?
A planeswalker is a very rare occurrence in this world, but I believe in time. The longer you live and the more you search, you will find this prime you all live in is a well-bottom for all the other worlds. All creatures seem to find themselves traveling here at some point or another. But those of great and important magic, with weight to their spells, will often find ways to thin the veil and travel. Even mere humans. Those, what are they calling them? Not Jedi, wizards, that is it. Even they may become planeswalkers in time, so long as they learn the magic. But to meet one, they must be born with the capability, or possess immense power. So no, I have not met far too many. And those I have, well, many I will dare not speak of. As he sort of lurches forward, starts continuing to walk with his
How
staff.
long have you been in the city?
No more than the last couple of decades. It has been a fun romp, to say the least. You will find that the city is much less suited to those of study and fervor, and more for, like, well, my brother over here. Connection to the spirits and the enjoyment and indulgence of life.
I
You
keep
say
telling you, you
something-
should enjoy it more. You only have so much time, and you may not win this time.
If anything, you might not have much time left. You say you've only been here for a couple decades, but you look. Well, I don't really have a polite way to say it, but it looks more like
Old.
centuries.
Very old. It certainly feels that way. It is simply the result of dealings and magics of which I have had to tamper with to see through a goal of mine.
You've accomplished this goal.
I am far in my steps to accomplish it. But there are still many to go. As he just kind of looks over at you, Tamarkad, with like this little knowing grin.
Yeah, maybe you'll not get so lucky this time. You know, the ones before, this is exactly how you lost. You always gave too much to get too little, and you did not enjoy your time. You should smell the roses, as it were. You don't want to end up dying before you even get to the end.
I have
All right,
no
I'm
need-
tired of all this big talk. What are we talking about? I need specifics.
The specifics will be shared at dinner. But for now, I will say
I'll
this.
tell you a story. Yes, of course, at dinner.
I have smelled many roses, and I know what they smell of. It is my gift, that of knowledge. I have no time to waste on such matters. There's always the next step. But alas, my stomach is growling, and my aging body requires food. As just about this time, almost like
an
somehow
unfortunate limitation.
hurriedly stepping ahead, as if he wasn't as exhausted before, you guys get closer and closer to the Golden Tower. This time, no longer entering towards the smaller of which where you exited. Instead, you're entering towards one of the larger, grand, like sort of rounded cylinders that define the great Golden Tower at the center of this city circle. Ended up finding a large set of wide doors that seemed to be guarded by another pair of what looked to be those paladins, those wearing this like gold and brass embroidered armor with like, it looks like a pair of like dawning suns on each shoulder, clasping on to this long white flowing cloak behind them. They recognize Mandry Khan, who gives them like a soft nod and a raise of his staff. They part ways, and the doors open. You guys make your way inside this very beautiful looking, again, the same material that the walls and buildings seem to be made of, but this one seeming to be of a truer nature. Gold seeming to line the very walls and floor around you. Some of it seeming like it's stone, but there's still this like sort of glitter to it, this glimmering brass gold color that lines everything, as if you're walking into a tower made of gold itself. And after walking up maybe about 200 or so feet, walking past long hallways that lead off to different directions, you can see it looks to be tall and wide bookshelves, but they don't always contain books on them. There's going to be baubles and trinkets. At a first glance, it almost seems like where you're walking isn't some like grand archive where you've spent some time before back in Cradle Keep. This seems almost more like a, I guess like a museum of sorts. Until eventually, again, about 200 feet or so, you reach a sudden turn in this long and winding hallway. And the doors standing before you seem to almost not glow, but the light inside seems to hum and bask gently. And from within, you can smell a cacophony of like sweet and savory spices. The smell of Roka's cooking, as it seems like you finally reached the dining hall. And inside, you can hear a number of voices calling out, some much louder and brasher than others. But others, almost like you can hear, like it sounds like the soft cooing or chattering, almost like repetition inside, as if the same voices are repeating over and over almost like fanfare. Eventually, the doors are thrown open wide. You can see Mandrakon push against the middle, and the doors almost seem to open themselves as he leads you into what looks to be a somewhat rambunctious-looking dinner party in a large, looks like it would have been a part of a throne room, but instead, it looks like it's been somewhat shifted recently. Tables aligned with food, all sorts of beautiful cutlery of gold and brass, and a number of individuals, strange in appearance, some of them almost alien, a trait you will find common in the city of Roka, as you enter the king's dining chambers. You can see outside of the table with several individuals sitting on it. One of them, very familiar, a somewhat young 17-year-old half-orc with his shoulders square, sitting across the way, sort of locked eyes with this other armored individual sitting across from him with what looks to be a head full of hair that gently waves in the air, almost up by itself. Almost like a head of fire that just seems to be constant motion, but his eyes seem to be piercing like hot embers, just staring down this half-orc. You can see next to him this large, broad-shouldered, and well-muscled individual, head full of sharp-cut silver hair and a burly beard on his chin, just smiling, laughing. You see him waving a tankard of just all whatever's inside of it, this golden liquid splaying out across the table, just making a mess of things, which one of these strange bird creatures you now know as Kenku seems to go hurriedly overcome to attend to. Next to him, almost giving him a wide berth knowingly, it looks like another creature you guys know quite well of. These dark-furred creatures with a large, like, golden eyes cut down the middle like the edge of a dagger. But there's no joy or jovialness in the others you've seen of this race. Instead, there's almost like a quiet stoicism and a look of disgust as she glares down at her wide-berthed compatriot. As you see, it looks like a dark-furred tabaxi just sort of peering over at her assailant before turning back to continue a conversation with what looks to be a half-elf of sorts, although her skin seems to be kissed by the sun and marred with strange markings, almost like, I guess what I might call like a stencil of sorts, like as if places where the sun never met, or the skin never met the sun. And sitting at the far end of this great chamber, where all of you now are entering, you see a number of individuals. You see a familiar face, a short, stocky, broad-shouldered Kenku with a long, flowing purple cape. Looks like he just sort of sees you guys approach and opens his mouth, and you hear from within the cacophony of voices, a word call out, "Valiant Vanguard." You can see this old man almost standing to attention as his head was beginning to droop, a number of amulets and baubles on his body seeming to shift across him. His turban almost slips off his head before he corrects it with a bundle of scrolls in his arm. And the far-reaching is a strange individual sitting in a chair in almost like a kingly fashion, but you're not really sure what you're looking at. You see an individual sitting in this large golden throne, not particularly participating in the meal. He seems like he's wearing a full suit of armor from head to toe. There is no point on him. You can see a mark, a sign, a clue at human or otherwise humanoid flesh. His body is almost completely covered in a combination of what looks to be platinum, gold, and brass armor. These combinations of, it looks like gems, maybe embedded where the eyes were, creating lenses, and otherwise embedded into his chest, give off this like soft, very evidently magical glow. And across his back, strewn out across this throne and spilling behind him like a cloak, seems to be this long and flowing cape. As not entirely sure what you're looking at here, but it doesn't fully look human. Almost like a man within a suit of armor. Let's see. As you guys finally pull in, you can see Mandrakon lift up his staff, and you can see a bit of light suddenly hums from this animalistic head as he makes himself known. "I am sorry we are late, my majesty, but I have brought your new guests. It seems they've come quite hungry. We've had quite an interesting experience." As this individual sitting back raises his head in recognition of the approaching adventurers entering his chamber, and then just sort of sits himself up before standing. You can hear from the depths of his body, like his mouth opens, like the mouth of his armor seems to open, but a voice just calls out without any sort of what would you call it? Articulation of what could be lips or a tongue or teeth. It almost seems like the voice just calls out from inside. Valiant Vanguard, a true pleasure to meet in the flesh. I am the Wizard King, Jedi al-Sa'ahir. Come, enjoy yourselves. The feast has just begun. As you see, Mandrakan will just sort of like find himself a seat to one of these tables. Just make yourself at home, it seems. He is in a quite generous mood.
Good to hear. King Asa here. It's nice to meet you. It seems like you have been keeping my brother company for some time now. My name is Tamer Khan. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. As you probably guess, Mandri is my older brother, and, well, I hate to impose ourselves like this, but, well, your kingdom here is magnificent.
Kind words from another interesting-looking individual. A far traveler like yourself, Mandrikan. Interesting.
And I will help myself to the food if you do not mind.
By all means.
And Samantha Deus, leader of the Valiant Vanguard, and I thank you for inviting us in for these pleasantries and food.
Of course. As you can see, his eyes, his gaze, unblinking, unmoving, seems to be focusing down on you, Samantha. His head sort of tilting downward and then upward very slowly, trying to take in almost like your entire appearance. I've never seen one of your kind in such a resplendent display.
You likely never will again. Make way for Swift Hollow.
Swift Hollow of Broken Ridge, of House Blackburn, and the Blackburn Initiative. It is a pleasure. She sort of puts her hand on her chest and then bows deeply.
Blackburn. Ah. The human nobility to the north, of course. A prestigious introduction from a very prestigious house. I welcome you, Swift Hollow. Go on,
The
enjoy your
honor and pleasure is all mine, my lord.
As what are the rest of y'all up to? As you can see, a number of these individuals start to be finding themselves seated around here.
Oh, I'll go introduce myself to the king again.
Sure. Yeah, you walk up, you can see this man look down, his head sort of tilt. I understand. No need for introduction, but I would like to see your display once more, Sand Whisperer. As he sort of ushers you to introduce yourself as you did once before, in your Tyrion way.
Tyrion, what is my Tyrion way?
Whatever you want to be, baby. How do Tyrion knights introduce themselves to kings?
As the shield will raise high above my head, as the sword will come, and it will just, in one motion, it'll go up as the shield comes down, and the sword will slide right behind the shield, behind the arm, as the knee goes down at the same time. My king, it is good to see you and be welcomed within your city yet again.
A beautiful display, as always, Sand Whisperer. You are always welcome in this city. As you can hear from within the room, a loud, booming voice. What's that? Sand Whisperer? I thought that was you. Get over here! As this large man pounds his flask until it bends against the table as he motions you over to the other side of him. As you see, sitting before you, recognized immediately not by his loud voice, but by his immense stature, a man barely clad in armor, known as Ramses, the current and long-lasted champion of the arena in Roka. as he leans himself forward across the table, almost knocking his plate out of the way. Sand Whisperer, you have not changed a day since I had seen you last. And yet
I'm
look
gonna
at me!
I'm gonna
Hair
extend my
silver.
arm, and we're gonna predator handshake.
Come here. You grabs you by the arm, and you just feel this immense strength squeezing against your own. Oh, I feel it! You've grown stronger since I last met you.
Absolutely. I may give you a run for your money in the old arena.
I hope you do. Oh, has that sword of yours gotten any sharper?
Soon. Soon it will be sharp and will bring down the fires of the mighty.
I like the way you use your words. After this, we should go spar once more, and make sure you do not hold back. This body can take a sword.
It is getting slower, though, my friend.
Slower?
Well aged.
Oh, the hair's turned silver, but the blood still flows. I may be human, but I am God-chosen, Gwildor. I am the champion. Death will not claim me so easily.
No, death will never claim you. You will claim victory over it soon enough, I'm sure.
I already have. What are the rest of y'all up to? Samantha taking a seat by Tamar Khan with Mandra Khan. Persephone, what are you doing with Luna?
I saw this guy eyeing Bran all funny, so I just want to sit next to Bran and make sure everything's okay.
At the moment you guys sort of sit on either side of him, you can see he turns another sigh of relief as he just kind of smiles. Hey, are you guys all right? You were underwater for quite a while.
It's all right now. Everything's all right. What's going on here? So I kind of eye this guy to my right.
I just kind of leans over to you, Luna. This guy's still looking at all of you guys, but as Ramses begins to yell and hoot with Quillor, his eyes turns up to him, sort of diverting his attention. You see Bran leans closer to you. I don't know. He just sat down and started staring at me, and I didn't know what to say. I thought he was going to attack me. He's a very fierce-looking individual.
I wave at the fierce-looking individual when the Ramses Quill interaction subsides. Like, hi, I'm Persephone.
What kind of wave?
Hi. And
Okay.
it just kind of goes up to his shoulder, and it's a rapid wave.
You can see his head immediately turns to face you, his hair sort of flowing and still sort of moving on its own. The sort of warmth and light seeming to bask from it. He looks you up and
Really
down.
like your hair.
Thank you. As he just turns to go look back towards Ramses, who now seems to be trying to regather his food on his plate. I think that guy's one of the captains of the what do you call them? Guys in the armor.
Knights?
That, yes, one of the knights. As you can see as he turns, you can see he too also has, it looks like a pair of these dawning suns on his shoulders as he just seems to sit back in his chair and just sort of observe the rest of the party, almost looking past some of you guys, look at the other table, keeping his eyes sort of located on everyone in this perpetual watch. This
Oh,
guy's really intense.
yeah.
So, Mr. Firehead, is there a reason you were staring at my retainer this entire time like that?
As his eyes immediately turn to face you, you can see, almost feel the light hitting against your already sort of dark-haired, sort of pale body, as he also seems to be taking you in, quite obviously trying to discern something from you, but instead he just sort of remains silent for a moment. The Warden of the Watch keeps his eyes on all. He scans the room, ensures there is no danger, especially when the king is present. That is all.
Wow, you are such a troll. Anyways. Honestly, I have nothing after that.
You see, he waits for the end of that sentence, nothing comes, and he just
Anyways,
turns it away.
let's sigh.
As Mandra Khan has been stacking himself up. It looks like a plate full of spiced rices and vegetables. No real meat on his plate. It seems like everything is very well colored, very well picked out. Some of it fresh, some of it well seared. So,
Khan.
oh yes, Samantha, was it?
Yes, Samantha Deus. Do you drink?
Oh, I do not cloud the mind. It is a waste of my body's energy to try and process the poisons of this world.
Is that what I'm saying? You need to learn to enjoy life. As I snatch up a goblet and start drinking from.
It is a shame. I wanted to share something with you, but I suppose if it is too much, I understand.
Oh, I know my brother here is quite adventurous, but if you are seeking an adversarial drinking alliance, I would possibly go, if you can find him, seek out the other brother, Gokhan.
Not an adversary. I'm sure you're quite aware no one's going to be drinking me under any table anytime soon. But, well, I wanted to allow you to perhaps taste a bit of adventure, I suppose, as Samantha pulls out the Rum Runner's Choice, now bottled with the memories of draconic triumph.
So he sort of gazes over this bottle. This is a very peculiar looking item you have here.
It is no ordinary bottle of spirits. A container of memories. A bit of magic. You do not need to drink a lot to go on an adventure of your own, as Samantha would try seeing if there's like a small sort of shot glass container nearby or something like that. Something of that
mostly
size.
just very pristine, beautiful looking
goblet.
goblets. Some very small, but yeah.
Yeah, sort of just grabs a small goblet and just pours just, a little bit and slides it over to him to see if he bites on the temptation.
I see him take a bit in that
pouring herself
glass,
some as well.
taking the goblet in his hand, sort of looking it over, giving it a sniff. And he places it down. The mind is a very precious thing to me, Samantha Deus. It is what has allowed not only myself as an aspect, but our father to overcome that which none had thought possible. I would never dare remove my strongest weapon, even if for but a moment.
A man of principle.
But I appreciate the gesture.
Maybe one day. Well, Tamakan, don't let anything go to waste if you don't mind.
I would certainly indulge if you are offering.
Of course, as I would pour a decent amount of that memory for Tamar, and if Swift Hollow wants any as well.
She's of the same mind as Tamacon. Or the Magicon.
Boo, lame, boring.
Tamacon. Yeah, I know. Boo, lame, boring.
Drink with me!
That sticks in their mud.
As maybe about
I should
5
drink swine.
As Mendicon, so just making some small talk with you guys, some of the people at your table. You see Ramses and Cool Laura maybe fighting to see who are going to eat their steak the fastest or who can drink the most.
Monry, before you move past this, I have to ask though, you mentioned him. I did not know. Is Gorgon here as well? Upon the Prime Material?
I had heard tell that there was a great and mighty challenger of the wilds who had made himself a home very recently in the far north of Dracova, although he seldom stays in one place. Very strange to hear of his conditions if it is truly our brother. He has been known to fight with nothing. Neither armor, nor weapon, nor even what I would hope to be a robe.
You think he has lost his replica?
If the knowledge I have been blessed with, Tamarkan, gives me any guidance in my guessing, I believe he is not happy with the treasure he has been given, and he has simply refused to use it.
Yeah. Well, when I got the bar, he has some complaints. And I don't think he would cast the robes away, though.
Oh, certainly not. It would likely cost him everything in this duel.
He certainly thinks he has fight himself his better trouble. It's strange, though, for it ought to be sent to one place. I thought in the past we would scatter to the winds, as it were. I guess a more head-to-head competition is in order this time around.
I do not doubt that we had all been sent elsewhere, although it sounds as if you had been sent here first.
So you were not originally sent here?
Oh no.
Ah!
You see, my master, as you spoke of them, seemed to guide me where I was going to go. Guide me to my own destination in a plane, well, I suppose it's more like a world, where there is no air, no land to stand on, all things are drowning in a endless sea. But it seems my training and what I had learned from my master had helped me find a breath amidst all of that sea. And from there I found myself traveling to lands of plentiful air. More air than anyone could think to have, but no land to stand on. Just clouds to swim between, if one has the potential to do so. But alas, another lesson applied allowed me to survive. And from there, land where there was plenty of land to walk upon. A world where it was nothing but stone, so much you would almost crush you. And where there was once a moment, a space one could find levity from all of that earth. I found it, a softening of the stone that came with a great heat, a great flame that took over all. And within it I found a great and wondrous city, city of gold and brass. And within there, perhaps by chance, perhaps by cunning, I found myself stepping out into the prime, into a city of gold and brass as we see it now. As he sort of looks up and looks around at these golden walls.
As I have wandered this world, you have wandered many, it seems. I always know a teacher favored you. It was fun though, no? Did you enjoy yourself? Of course you didn't. Why
It was interesting and very teaching, very informative. I learned much and I gained much, if it had cost me. As he sort of like lifts up a sort of shaking hand to pick up another spoonful of his meal. But it has set me on the right path. And finding myself here, I believe this place is a key in all of these challenges. A key to find oneself at the end of their goal.
It is where my father was born. He always said that the plant material was something special. Simply had to find out why. But not.
And now you're here.
But good luck to you, my brother. It seems like you have set your eyes on something special. I myself, and I'm sure I'll find something eventually.
Brother, it is alright to take your time. It is alright to find yourself wandering, especially here in this wonderful city. It is suited for someone of your nature. Take time to relax, enjoy the sights. I know you are one of wandering hands. Perhaps allow the hands to wander where they will.
You good and you just, brother, but that is exactly what I am going to do!
I certainly hope so.
Stephanie
As
just kind of squints at that before taking a sip from her drink.
As after some time passes, you can see some of the individuals, it looks like they're starting to get their things around, almost ready to leave, but then a hand sort of raises from the throne, and some of the heads turn as the Wizard King sort of makes himself known. You see this sort of rambunctious older individual, like, goes through his scrolls. He seems to be trying to convey something to the king as he looks over. Yes. Now that we have finally received the guests of these far-traveled lands, it is time to commence with the purpose of this meeting.
Meeting. I thought this
As
was
you all know, it is nearing the new year of 1260. And with every new year, there will come changes that befall this world of Hearth. It's important to discuss these changes with all of you, the closest compatriots of this city, and, I suppose, you, those who will soon be shaking the earth. For those who may not know, these strangers here, named the Valiant Vanguard, have recently acquired a title to themselves, one that you will soon hear sung upon by the praises of all those across this nation. It is on good authority, by the incantation of 10 of Cradle Keep, that the Valiant Vanguard have laid waste to one of the remaining dragons of the world. And soon, it seems that their spoils will be taken to the city to be shared and sung about, I suppose. But for now, I believe you will find them in the prime of their rise. It would do you good to make your introductions, to speak with them, to get to know them before the waves take them higher. But I'm certain you, Valiant Vanguard, have been given the same warning as I will give you now. Dragon Slayers are well sought in this world, just as they are rare. They are powerful individuals, and many, including the great kingdom of Skyreach, will be reaching out to you in time, I am certain. In this ever-changing world, in which hides many trivial problems, the powerful, such as yourselves, will be requested, sought out. And some of these requests might be quite challenging. They might test you both of your life, of your courage, and your fortitude. I do hope you are prepared for what will come.
Welcome to challenge.
Couldn't be harder than slaying a dragon.
Yes,
Yeah.
it could.
Are you speaking from experience?
There are great things in this land and this world. Things greater than even a dragon. And when people in power have needs to gain more power, they often seek out others to do the bulk of the lifting.
Really?
What it means to lead?
Indeed. Delegation.
Necessary
Dividing
steps.
of one's burdens, as it were. Isn't that right, brother? Sometimes more literally than others.
I suppose so, brother. I certainly suppose so.
The Vanguard is valiant and will deal with what comes.
A very courageous answer from a pristine leader, as he raises his hand up towards you, Samantha.
Just sort of bows her head.
But an ever-changing world we live in. Word has been received that as the new century, or the new this is Omen brain farting right now, not the king of the world, but not the smart wizard king, decade. As the coming of the new decade has arrived, the eternal oath of Illyria will soon be holding its decennial gathering in the city of Ronan. It'll be an interesting one to see the results of, for it will be the first gathering where none of the nations of Tyrion will be recognized as part of their nation.
Is it none of them will be recognized?
None of them. It has been quite some time since the Civil War has ended, and although considerations have seemed to have been reached out for those most hopeful, I believe it'll be their first meeting since this full separation of their nations. What will come of this will be, I am certain, a great change for the nation of Illyria.
Any ideas as to how?
To how do you mean, young elf?
Well, if this is going to be the first time Tyrian leaders are not going to be represented on the council, that would mean that only those that have lived in Illyria would be speaking. Do you have any wisdom or ideas or estimations on what direction Illyria may go into after this meeting of the Eternal Oath?
The Illyrian nation has existed for quite some time. It was two separate bodies on either end of the world of Hearth. It was only in the last few decades, and last century span, that the nation, now known as Tyrian, fully separated and became its own kingdom. The Illyrian kingdom has been weakened. I am certain, if only from a standpoint of a king myself, that they will be consolidating their forces and hoping to strengthen their now weakened ends. I do not believe Illyrians will be imperialistic in their reach. Perhaps they will simply recede, become more isolated, as is the nature of most Illyrian kingdoms.
Indeed.
I am sure they are tired of war. They seemed tired of it as they were fighting it.
But not so much for the Tyrians, it seems. The Tyrian nation, during this time, has been seen seeking out many unaligned island nations around the eastern coast of Hearth. They seem to be consolidating forces of their own after this civil war. They have supposedly conquered the Elven Sea, and seem to be trying to expand their reach further. A dangerous gambit, all things considered.
Expanding their reach. So I try to recall
Across
which side is on which. Eastward.
Tyrion is east.
Yeah, they're the
Tyrian
rebels,
is
right?
going to be expanding westward. Eastward. That's
Well,
how
that's
worlds
why-
work.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Are they looking to expand eastward or westward?
They're
East.
reaching from the
Tyrion's on
far. They are the eastern nation of this world, and they are expanding their reach closer to the lands beyond the Elven Sea, closer to the west. They are reaching their fingers to the far edge of Mobia, as well as Dracova, a dangerous move on their part. But an understandable one. They have locked forces. They have fought a civil war, and just as Illyria, they find themselves weakened. I suppose it makes sense. They would be trying to regroup the forces that they have lost, having separated.
Interesting.
And I'm certain
Army.
it seems many armies.
Indeed.
Do you know anything of this, Herald of Tyrion, Sand Whisperer?
I've heard rumors. I've heard people who don't understand full meaning of leading men and women into battle, trying to pretend to be great generals, seeking arms and armies for their own personal gain.
You believe this move to be through inexperience?
I believe this move is out of ambition. Ambition to claim yourself or themselves as true leaders of men, wanting to gain more lands, more titles, more property. The true overlords of Illyria are gone. One could say the children are finally at play.
Let's hope those children have grown old and wise in this time and are not children themselves. Perhaps another nation may fall. But on to lighter note. I'm certain all of you at this point have heard the announcement in Crossway, the reveal of the strange contraption sent down from the Han district of Mobia's Broken Ridge.
We saw it.
We were there.
As you can see next to you, Kuldar, you see
saw it
this
too.
His head turns and looks down south towards you. A familiar face. One of the leaders of the actual heads of the market district, Freyami, one of the half-elves, who presides in the Elven district, but also sort of has a long-lasting family connection tie to most of the merchants. Really? You saw the ship itself? Tell me, did it look like a dragon?
One who does not look closely at it could indeed mistaken it for a dragon. Its shadow indeed overlaid the land, and for a moment I thought it was indeed the very beastly lizard itself. It does an adequate job, but for anyone who spent time near a dragon would know better. But it is quite marvelous, and its speed and ease of flight through the air could definitely have lasting impacts on the trade routes of this world.
All of that to say anyone who's anyone's going to want one, she says, looking up at the king. I know I do.
It is a very interesting contraption. Its inventor, Marquis de la Cotte. He is quite known for his extravagant creations. This may be his magnum opus. He had claimed in his meeting in the Crimson Wall district, or at least word has reached, that this sapphire dragon of his, this technology to take to the air, will conquer travel across all of Hoth. It is supposedly a combination of both magical insight and new age technology. An interesting creation in this world, but such things have been attempted before in Mobian past. Such things have ended in catastrophic failures. Many kings have tried to make their castles fly. Many have fallen. A foundation on which I do not feel certain.
You said it was the Sapphire Dragon?
Sapphire Dragon.
Gotcha.
Indeed. But men
Still.
oftentimes do not have the wisdom of someone such as yourself, King.
You humbled me.
Still, the Han district is full of wonderful minds. Even if this is a failure, something will come of it. They will learn.
Such is the nature of human determination. Well spoken, Swift Hollow of Broken Ridge. Of all the nations that we observe, of all the places we send our scouts and reach our ears, it is always the nation of Drakova that proves silent. But we know of their history, of their prophets, that this year will enter the year of long night, where the nation will suffer its coldest of seasons and its most deadly of winters. Just as it had 500 years past, it is believed that the nation will likely be coated in perpetual winter from across all 4 seasons. Communication across the nation will be lacking in that time. And with the advancements of the Tyrian nation, I suspect it may lead to an attempt to perhaps an imperialistic reach. While the dwarves' eyes are blinded, the elves who remain behind may take more than they need. And it may prompt war if they do so.
A land war in
Really?
Drakova in winter.
In winter,
Interesting.
wisdom does not go with the ambition of my kinsmen.
Unless, of course, they have
Suggesting that they want to look for an
some marvelous way of dealing with winter, Quildor. Then things could be quite troublesome for those citadels beneath the snow.
Nobles always know how to deal with winter. But the foot soldiers do not, and they are the ones that suffer. They are the ones that walk to their death, all for somebody to look and say, I had victory. I am great. Children.
Elder's right. Tyrion is far too young of a nation to be trying to get themselves into another war, especially if their forces are already weak from the last one.
Seems like a nation made of monkeys who were born from fighting. Know nothing but the
Oh, very inappropriate joke, brother.
It is true! What? If you know nothing of your life but to fight, and someone gives you peace, you would know not what to do with it.
It is a nation looking to prove itself.
Nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal. Well,
It
I
will
certainly
be troubling.
hope that we do not end up with some harebrained, risky mission into a place frozen over. I detest the cold.
Remember, brother, you may have gotten his wits, and you might have gotten his silver tongue, but I still got it. I know a thing or two. When the time is.
I cannot doubt these things, brother. I can only hold my tongue.
Can you teach him how
Suppose
to
you
do
do
that?
the window talk. Ah! Keeping your mouth shut when you need
She
to
said
say
the same thing about
something.
me at one point.
I am afraid teaching
You
him
learned.
anything is a difficult task. Perhaps if I learn to do this, I will become the Monkey King, completing the impossible. Is that right?
Yes, the immovable object and the unstoppable force.
Oh, I would not hope to do such a thing to you, brother. I am too kind. But Gorkon, on the other hand, he may wish to take that tongue from your mouth.
Ah. If we want to compete with each other upon this world, we'll be it. As long as we live to see the kingdom of. You know, everything is fair game.
Is Jedi the title?
Jedi seems to be his name. His
Okay.
title seems to be Wizard King.
So would Wizard King Al-Sahir be the
Sure.
modus operandi
Wizard
for the
King
most respectful way
here.
to address
Sure.
him?
Or Your Majesty.
Yeah, but Your Majesty's so lame.
There's an implied apostrophe in there between the A's.
Mm-hmm.
So, what pray tell else is going on in the coming year, Wizard King Al-Sahir?
The year is still new. The nations are still turning. But there is one aspect of this world that has caught my eye and seems to be a silent issue. One I hope may find new eyes to bring answers for. To the far north, the kingdom of Skyreach. It rests upon the great mountain of the vast rise. Many look to Skyreach for hope, for wisdom, for power, when there is none to be had. The High Church, the Knights of the North, even the Dragon Slayers who reside there. When aid has been called upon them in this past year, they have all fallen silent. I do not know what is happening. Word has reached some, but not others. Some who have claimed to travel the mountains have lost their lives. They claim that the mountain itself has been prone to rumblings and landslides. It has deterred travelers, all from the strongest, from ever venturing to its heights. It is a troubling moment for the nation of Mobia, when its kingdom cannot be relied upon, when its king cannot answer the call. I do not wish to spread fear or panic, But there is something clearly going on in the city of Skyreach.
Agreed.
Something that needs to be addressed, lest the kingdom of Mobia become a confederacy. That is problematic.
We are planning to go there, Great King.
I travel to the north,
To Skyreach itself.
and would do you well. A traveling dragon slayer, finding his home in those great mountains, you will find worthy praise for your efforts there. If you do venture to the far north, and I am certain you will survive the trek, it would do good to gather as much information as you can. Discern the oddities that you notice. And if you can report back to the king here, you would be greatly rewarded. Knowledge is precious, not just to myself, but to the other great leaders of this nation, the incantation as well.
Great King, do you have a means in which we could communicate over large distances instead of sending such an important message with a bird?
There are means to do so. If you wish, I may offer you, Sound Whisperer, a means of connection, if only a temporary one. The magics to maintain such power is a troubling one, and with recent developments, it is one we wish not to press far too often.
It is something that I may have a very interesting way of compensating for. Bit of work with my teacher, Tinsen, has resulted in a very interesting little magical trinket, so to speak. But we'll have to work that out. Wizard King, Alsair.
Very clever, Tenzin is. A very clever, very boastful individual. I'm certain you have all made yourselves acquainted with the incantation and their particularities.
They're pleasant enough once you know which ones to spend your time around.
I assure you, alone they may be intricate, maybe almost too much to bear. But together they form the qualities of a great leader and a great wizard.
Wonderful. It seems like a fruit tree has grown in the middle of our path. How fortuitous.
But
I'm assuming we're accepting. Yes? Ah! The great Savannah has puns. I love it.
Wordplay is fun, but we will see about getting you that information, both to yourself and to the incantation as well.
it would do this city and this nation a great honor for the first act of a dragon slayer to bring peace and certainty to the people of their land.
I cannot promise that the information will be good to hear, but it will be informative nonetheless. And I am sure, she says, looking over at Swift Hollow, I am sure Lady Blackburn would be appreciative to be brought up to speed on anything interesting discovered in Skyreach.
But of course. That being said, we do have business to talk about. After this, of course.
Business?
Business.
Business.
Interesting. Well,
The
brother, I
new-
would also like to talk after all of this. About I guess everything going.
Certainly. These bones grow weary, but it is not often you run into a part of yourself you have not seen in quite some time. There is
That's
much to
exactly.
discuss. But all of this being said, people of Roka, this is not a time to fear the future, it is to welcome it. The coming days before the 31st and final day of this year, we are holding celebrations and enjoyments, festivities throughout the city of Roka. I welcome you all, as well as you, Valiant Vanguard, to take part in them. Enjoy yourselves in the city. Perhaps use it as time to spread your name. You can hear the sound boom across the room. Of course! There's a new way if you Dragon Slayers wish to prove yourself. Come fight me in the arena! Or if you are lesser people, go fight monsters or one of the king's constructs, whatever you call them. They are the guardians of the arena. That's the guardians if you wish to play it safe, Your Majesty.
Ramses, I wish not to kill you in the arena, but I would like to join in and fight something of great challenge.
Quildo, if there is any man you know who welcomes death and has welcomed death time and time again, it's your friend Ramses, as he shoves his thumb into his chest, which now he can see is just marred and thickened by a cacophony of deep and what to a discerning eye would know to be mortal scars.
If the man wishes for death, I'll deliver it.
Sounds like a good bit of fun.
As this
We're not in a
yeah.
hurry, are we? I mean, this whole Skydish thing with it, nobody hearing about them, but they can wait a day or two.
You never want to miss a party in Roka.
Mm.
I thought exactly!
Yes, every city along our little journey. As Samantha just sort of unfurls a little pocket version of the map and looks at it before folding it back up, has a bit of time allotted to it. There are many things I wish to see that I have not seen in a very long time. The arena being one of them. But we'll figure out what it is we're going to do after all of this.
One more thing I want to ask you, brother.
Oh,
Have
sure,
you found your children? Those that will accompany you back.
I'm sorry, what was that? My ears are full of hair.
You find the ones that accompany you back, your chosen. Or are you going it alone again? Your silver tongue, of course not.
I promise you, I will not be returning alone.
Well, with that then, I think I should probably tell the story, yes. As you see the people around you, I am hoping to maybe be the same. Let me start by saying this. My name is Tamer Khan. We have known each other for a very little bit, but I don't think you truly know who or what I am. I am not exactly a normal person. And to know me is to know my father, the Monkey King. Not just a strange name given to a strange man. He was a creature of this world long ago. Thousands of years ago, when the creations of the gods still roamed the world, the Titans, they ruled with an iron fist, they conquered the world, and the more mortal creatures, they were nothing to them. But my father, he was no different. He was a monkey. He was just a simple monkey. But he was a monkey given a very special opportunity. He lived next to a place left behind by the gods, seized by the Titans, and made as a treasure vault of sorts, with wondrous things locked inside. And my father, though a simple monkey, had a ferocious greed about him. He fought, he tried to get inside, he tried to take what was not his, to get a piece of what the Titans had locked away. But he failed over and over again, until one time he heard a voice. From waters, it seemed, that reflect his face, seemed to have spoken to it, and it spoke back, telling him of a little secret, how to get within. To do this, he found the most ornery of creatures of the forest. forest, a gigantic boar, a creature known for its anger, for its single-mindedness in things, and with a large stick, he beat the beast upon the rump and ran towards the palace with its locked walls. The beast could not be ignored by the palace guards, and with the distraction, my father finally made his way within. He had one thing in mind, a fruit tree growing within the depths of its gardens with such succulent fruits they could not be ignored. And with a single bite, although my father was quickly caught and thrown from the palace walls, my father was changed forever. He gained wisdom, strength, something that finally made him more than just a simple monkey. For as I've said, you are a monkey until you are not. My father learned more and became stronger, and he stole more and more, each trick getting more devious, more attempt, more successful, as the vault slowly began to empty, the fruit trees slowly growing. No more fruits, for he had taken them all. Eventually, the Titan had had enough. They returned to their palace, seeing their vaults ransacked, and demanded the forest give up my father, and the creatures within to throw him from the forest to meet his judgment. And although they were promised very many things, and threatened with very harsh punishment, the creatures of the forest did not give up my father. They hid him away, and he continued to steal, until enough was enough. A Titan himself walked into the forest, demanding the head of my father, and said that if he was not released to his possession, he would hunt him down himself. And so, he did. The Titan hunted my father, and found him quite quickly, actually, in those mirrored waters that showed my father's reflection, and told him the secrets of how to obtain that wisdom. And that is what he was. Sat upon the rock in the middle of the falls as the Titan approached. The Titan exclaimed that the monkey had gone far beyond his station, and he was nothing but a simple beast, that he was going to pay for his crimes against his betters. My father mocked him, turning his hind end towards him and giving it a smack, telling him that the Titan could certainly try. And so he did. Titan wade into the waters, piling a mighty sword from his belt, ready to cleave my father's head from his shoulders. That is when my father spoke in earnest. A different look upon my father. So the tales go. He told the creature that they had ruled from on high, looking down upon all others as if they were untouchable. They were kings in that land, far above everything else. But my father asked the Titan a question as the waters around the Titan's feet churned. Small hands covered in hair reached up and grabbed at the Titan's ankles. He was so proud he did not look beneath himself. He did not look into the waters, and he thought he could shake it off. But the hairy claws that dragged him down below were too strong, far more than simple monkeys. My father exclaimed, "What if there was another? Not another Titan, but another king." You see, my father, he is made of greed. He wants to take everything, but that does not mean he keeps it for himself. No. He shared the knowledge, the trinkets, the tokens, and the fruits with his people. He was not a simple thief. He was a king. And with his strength, his wisdom, and the strength of his people, they clawed and pulled the Titan below the surface. The strength of the Titan was nothing. For within those waters, his domain did not reside. Those waters were something special. A Titan died that day, killed by the hands of the Monkey King. Of course, other Titans would certainly hear of the news, but my father would not be found. Not upon the plane that we now live. Not ever again. Those waters led to a special place. place now known as the Feywilds. The inhabitants did not exactly welcome my father, and it was a hard-fought battle, but eventually my father truly did become a king, and now resides over the Immortal Kingdom, a wondrous place, welcoming of all those creatures once bound to be lesser than others, to finally find a place for themselves. And it has ran for thousands of years. And although the fruit gave my father much power, it did not exactly make him immortal. So every 1,000 years, he must refresh himself, learn, become something more. It is where Bandri, myself, and my middle brother, I suppose, Gorkan, come into the picture. We are three of a whole. My father, he did not know exactly how to rule. He never ruled before. How would someone decide what the correct way to be would? So, he competed with himself. My father created Mandrikon, the oldest, given the intelligence and the sharp tongue, my father, to speak with grace, far better than even I, and with the wisdom of countless years of knowledge, so that he could rule with, well, the wisdom that come with it all. The ideas, the numbers, the things, the lessons of the past that could be brought down to, well, I don't know, it's quite boring. I know you love it, but the numbers to it all. The middle brother, Gorkan, given the authority, the iron hand, to crush those that would oppose him. For a king must be strong, of course, for else the throne be stolen. And he learned that lesson very hard when he fought with the other Fey Lords. Or me! The spirits of freedom, I suppose. The idea that people can govern themselves if given the chance and prosperity to do so. That people will want to help one another, to enjoy life, to be something more than just individuals. They do not need to be ruled every step of the way. They do not need to be taught every single thing, for they will learn themselves. And so, the three of us created, we are sent out into the world to learn, to experience, to be something of ourselves. We learn, we live, and we find something. A token of sorts, something worthy of a collection. It's symbolic, more than anything. To go through the trials and tribulations that our father did long ago, to take something from the worlds we go to, bring it back. If it is seen worthy by my father, well, then we finally compete with one another. The one who wins is the one who is given the right to rule, to inherit the will of the Monkey King, to become the Monkey King. The other two, their purpose done, they become one with the Monkey King as well, but not entirely. The consciousness is taken from one, the right to rule, taken from one, the personality, the beliefs from one, the experience from the others. Those that lose, most likely no more. But so the Monkey King is reborn, his knowledge reinvigorated by everything the three have experienced, and he rules for another 1,000 years. And so it has been for all this time. I tell you this all now because part of that, a part of returning to the Feywild to present the token of which they have taken, is that the Monkey King did not gain his throne alone. He had those that followed in his footsteps, those that believed in him, those that loved him, friends, followers. However you wish to find those that support you, it is part of the task. I will be honest with you. I would love if the Valiant Vanguard could see me through all of this. But I know it is a large task, as the other two will do the same, finding the champions that will stand by their side through it all, to see them reclaim the throne. So, I suppose a formal invitation. You do not need to accept now. I know there is much to be done, and much time can still pass, but I would love you would all voyage into the Feywild with me when the time comes. What do you say?
Yes.
I love it! Persephone! I knew you would be invigorated by the idea.
Two
Of course,
questions
why
from
would I
our
know
con.
that?
Of course,
Two
good dog.
questions.
Yes.
Number one, what happens afterwards? Are we free to go back?
Oh,
Or
of
are we
course!
stuck in the Feywild?
At the end of the day, the immortal kingdom invites all, and it is a place for those who wish to be. Gorkon, if given the chance, may want to have it handedly offer to gain your services, but there's been no Monkey King that has believed in complete slavery. That is something that we fight against. The Fey Lords, many of them accept that the lesser creatures should serve them above all else. And that is how the Immortal Kingdom was created, for those who try to escape such things.
Second question,
Of course.
how many times have you won?
Well,
Go on then, brother. Tell them how many times the cunning and the far traveler has won. Do you know?
for those who have made it to the end competition with the other two remaining,
Yes. A number.
well, never.
Never?
I've never been one for putting all the effort into. My essence is to be free, to be given a task. I work towards it, but see, there's so much to enjoy in life.
To wander
wasted
and
all
to
of it.
indulge as well, brother. You see, your story, well spoken, by the way. I did not know you had picked up a silver tongue yourself.
I had to practice a lot. I've been thinking about this day for a very long time.
Oh, that brings me joy to think that you would hold on to such things. If any story to remember from your lessons, it would be your father's.
Of course.
But to keep in mind, just as he said of young Gorkhan, we carry the strengths of our father within us as well as his weaknesses. Gorkhan is a man of great strength and resilience. He is a king who rules with an iron fist, or perhaps two, at fact. But you may also find him unbending and unyielding. He is a king who rules by deciding what must be done, regardless of what his people think. I
That
myself...
he will find himself very many enemies upon his journey, which can halt his plan.
I believe that might be part of his challenge, brother.
The key to
My-
such rigid leaders is making them think your idea is theirs. It's pretty simple, honestly. But you are very interesting. I do not know. To mark on something. A very interesting something. And your challenge that you have never won is all the more preposterous than your story. How engrossing it is. Nonetheless, I think we can aid you in what it is you seek. Though I will of course have to ask that you aid me in things to come.
Well, of course. The whole task is to gain friendships for those who truly believe in one another. Well, that's what I interpret it to be. Maybe the other two have a different idea of what companions mean. But yes. And do not get me wrong. My brothers and I, we compete against one another. We have different views of how one would rule, and our task is to win, but it is not to beat one another. At the end of the day, the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience of the three is all in service to the one. To lose one of us is a horrible blow. If one of us is not to return, there is so much loss. I do not wish ill for my brothers, of course.
And neither will you.
Indeed.
It is a task to create a great king, however that may be.
Exactly. And if I should
And
fall,
only one of you gets to be the vessel.
so it is. There can only be one way of ruling. You cannot be all things at all times.
Just as this world has a tendency to change leaderships, new nobles holding cities, new kings holding lands or thrones, we find new philosophies through exploring these lands, testing out new ways to rule to find what may be best, if there is a best at that. But I do applaud your hopefulness, brother. You are quite an adventurous soul, and I do wish to see where you end up. But
Even if I lose, I will at least enjoy the ride along the way.
Oh, well, that's
Nice.
good.
I certainly hope you spend time enjoying yourself, brother.
It does seem that you're in a beneficial position. You can do what you want and you still enjoy it.
I will say, though, for aiding in the Monkey King's journey, the treasures that have been acquired over the last thousands of years, and they are certainly a sight to behold. So, who knows what you might end up this journey with? I do not want to bribe you. I would hope that you would join me out of full-hearted friendship, but it certainly does not hurt.
As you feel like a hand sort of slip over to like your left shoulder as Samantha sort of just leans in a little closer. Oh no, bribe me.
Oh, kiss me to my con.
Jesus.
But I feel like I've made a fool out of myself enough for this evening. I've said what I need to say. You do not need to answer me now. And also, if you ever feel like you do not want to go upon this journey, I completely understand. I hear in my own voice, and it sounds absurd. Of course, especially of the people of the Prime Material.
Are you kidding? I've been wanting to go to the Feywilds for years, and you were literally just giving me an invitation to do just that!
The Immortal Kingdom is a beautiful place.
There's
I don't see why I
Tamarkan's-
wouldn't turn it down.
This Tamarkan's story was really interesting and seemed to sort of lock up the majority of Samantha's attention. The benefit of having so many eyes means you can keep watching the room even as you're really focused in on him. What would she sort of pick up from the other people in the other important people in the room in terms of their demeanor as he's sort of telling this story? Like the king and the cat and all those kind of people.
Yeah, the king seems to be pretty stoic. He's just sort of watching. He doesn't really react strangely to hearing the sort of magical phenomena that is being one thing now split into three. Seems pretty mellow about the whole thing, just more listening intently. The Kenkus all around seem to be like, you can hear them muttering under their voices, Titan, 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 Titan. There's repetitions of Tamarkan's storytelling voice just out of interest. But the other ones seemed to, after he mentioned, it seemed like the story about the ages ago facing off against one of the Titans and defeating it. You finally caught the ears and eyes of the people around the other tables, especially now strangely falling silent after all of us hooting and hollering and after Quildor sort of left him by himself. The older-looking gentleman, Ramses, now seems to be looking over the table at this scrawny little excited monkey man telling this story, almost with a look of disbelief on his face, looks like he's trying to picture him as something else and just having no means of doing so. But the rest of them just seem to be listening quite intently with general curiosity about them.
Okay, just sort of.
And Mandarin Khan, of course, it just has this very amused smile. He most like is shocked at first hearing Tamarkan go on so much, but he almost looks like a proud parent just watching his kid perform.
All right, just sort of taking that in.
Okay. Very interesting tale. Certainly your brother, Mandri Khan. I am curious to know, though. He speaks of a task to complete. What of yours, Mandri Khan? You've never spoken of such a thing before. Ah, it is a long and winding road to the end of my destination, but I assure you, it will be one that brings great prosperity, not only to myself, as a king to become, but to you, the people I have grown so accustomed to. As a king must benefit, give his gifts to all. But the surprise must remain as such. I do not want a potential competitor stealing my idea.
Okay,
Did not know
insight
you
check that.
failed me at battery. I'm sorry if I.
Oh, you do no such thing, brother. You are fine.
Okay, good.
All words come out eventually, all secrets are made known, but happy surprises. They are the ones I wish to keep. As Squidor, roll me an insight check. Ooh, very good. Yeah, you can see him looking up at the king. He has this very wide smile, very gentle in expression, but there is a look in his eye. Something not particularly hostile, but more just ambitious. Like the look of someone very, very similar to the emotion you may have been feeling having heard the recent news of the very ambitious Tyrion. The look of someone who is maybe from your station, from your position, possibly someone ready to bite off way more than they can chew. But no hostility, no ill will, no sense of twisted words, just more so someone ready to hide a surprise.
Okay.
The evening.
I'm very much sorry. Bathroom? I drink a lot of wine.
The latrines are out the door, down the hallway, 23 doors to the left. And a 23rd door to the right.
This is an interesting arrangement of latrines.
The other would be on the top floor. It is a quite expansive building, this tower. For good reason. But latrines, not a common or needed place here. Not for myself, at least. But the night is yours. The remaining evening to spend, you are allowed quarters here, or if you wish to find them elsewhere, there are accommodating beds and brothels one might find in the noble districts to the east. But you are to do as you wish, Valiant Vanguard. I am certain you will find plenty of activities to participate in within the city of Roka.
I appreciate your hospitality, though I must inquire. There were a peculiar little group traveling with us. Some, one might call servants of my own. You would not know what happened with them, would you?
Yes, the incantation had mentioned you would bring in tow servants, I suppose they were. They have been detained for the time. The rightful watch has them kept in one of our more isolated rooms in case they would cause a fuss while the master was away. But I assure you they are unharmed and still dressed and cleaned and fed. We do not treat our servants unkindly here.
26th room, indeed. I'm back.
Very fast, brother.
I've got quite a bit of exercise recently.
Is there something I need do so that I may travel with them through the limits of your city, my liege?
You will find that the city of Roka is accepting of all creatures and cultures, even those often deemed ill-fit in the rest of Mobia. We are a nation older than any other in this kingdom, and our rule is given to ourselves. As long as they are not holding blade in hand and threatening passerbys, they will not be bothered. And, excuse me, if they are, you will find the guards treat them like any other.
Understood.
With that,
sort of glancing over at the sort of violinist, so they've just been playing this sort of whole time.
oh yeah, there's been this like soft sound of music playing through the entire thing. They are kind of a particular sight. This dark cinder color skin adorning her body. She's wearing this really long, soft, silky dress, sort of accompanying the same sort of attire that you'd expect of someone from Roka. But her hair is this wildfire that just seems to trail behind her with every movement, even streaks of it running along her hand and along the bowstring of her violin as she's playing this very, very enticing and exotic music. Just slightly slower than you'd expect of a dance song, but more so just something to accompany your meal. And she seemed to be sort of twirling and dancing and playing her song almost in her own little bubble.
Yeah, sort of just walking across the hall and sort of keeping an eye on her. And then coming over to Luna. I think we should, perhaps as a group, stay in the tower. I'm going to go retrieve the kobolds first. See if we can't get some place that would accommodate all of us.
Are you allowed to stay in the tower?
Yes, he just invited us to.
Alright. Excuse me, King.
Oh, the silent one. It speaks now. What do you have of me, Dragon Slayer?
Yes, I have a question. I'm just going to come out and say, what are you?
A very bold question.
I've been wondering the same thing.
But from a
That is
curious...
Luna.
I am just like any other. A man. A human. At least formerly. This place, it requires magic to keep it in tow. Water flowing beneath this city that provides it life and produces it as an oasis. A gem of life amidst a now dead and dying land. That magic requires keys and controls to keep it flowing, those that we wish not to be stolen. And so I have cast aside my body as wizard kings in past have before to adorn the king's armor. As he puts his hands on himself, you hear this metallic just cling. Casting aside my body and storing my mind, my soul, my vessel to the position of Wizard King.
Your key, your life force, I suppose, into a metal suit. Clever.
Do you age? Are you
Does that mean
immortal?
you'll always be the king here?
I am king until my purpose is complete, my tasks fulfilled, and when I find myself fading, as all living creatures will, I will find a suitable replacement. I have one at hand now. My advisor, my seer, my prophet, Rajid, as he motions his hand over to the sort of, again, now sort of falling asleep before he wakes up, shakes his head. Oh, yes, of course. Oh, my liege, you need of me. Simply making a point, Rajid. Oh, always at your service. Indeed.
What vibe do I get from Rajid?
What kind of what?
What kind of vibe? Like, Persephone sees him, what do I get from him?
He seems a little, not bumbling, but compared to sort of the calm and stoic nature of the king, this one seems a bit more finicky, a bit more jittery. It could just be to his old age. It could be just to his station. He seems to be trying to stand the entire time while everyone's eating, almost like he's standing in servitude to the king. He seems very, very meek, but considering all the baubles he has on him and the station he holds, there's got to be something to him.
Noted.
Great King, may I approach and show you something we found within the dragon's hoard? I think you would appreciate it.
May go ahead, Sound Whisperer. As you can hear a seat immediately against the tile floor as this armored man sort of steps up. If you would allow me, my king, a prior investigation before allowing one to approach you. This well-armored individual takes heavy steps up to you, Quildor, and then sort of stops in your path. You see him turn to face you. A look of recognition. You've met this man before. He is the warden of the Rightful Watch, the paladins who protect this district of Roka. He is a strange man of bright bronze-colored skin, whose hair seems to be just dancing with fire and an intense stare that always seems to pierce through whoever he's looking at. His name is Sirefreet.
You're doing your due diligence, Sirefreet.
As he just sort of waits for you to bestow whatever you're bestowing.
I will pull out the shard.
He looks it up and down. What is the nature of this? As he sort of steps just enough aside to let the king look at it.
It's a very magical shard. One could say almost the power of Obsidius the Pretender.
Oh, yes, look at that. Of course. That is one of the shards of the deadest tricks. It's proof enough that one has slain a dragon. You have a name listed upon this stone itself. A mark of power. As you see him like pulling like this monocle over his eye, and then another looks like a lens over that one until from your perspective, Quill, it looks like his eye is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And a very finely carved one, full, brimming with magic. I can feel it pulsing through my skin itself. Very remarkable specimen you have here, O Sound Whisperer. Indeed. Very peculiar. A trophy of your victory, no doubt.
Indeed. And soon it will join my ancestral sword.
A remarkable task. Binding the magic of a dragon to the magic of an elven sword. Befitting of a dragon slayer, I suppose. Perhaps the creation of another dragon-slaying weapon.
Heavens know we could always use more of those.
As you see, the captain goes back to sort of take a new station at the head of the table, now just sort of sitting down and looking up and giving you sort of a glare, Luna, before just returning to sort of looking around the rest of the party. There are no other concerns and your meals have been finished. I would like to chat with those who wish to linger around, but I know most of you require your sleep. It has been a long day from the looks of it, having spent your morning and afternoon along with the healer Mandri Khan. I will be here if you wish to have counsel, but you are all allowed to turn to whichever resting place you choose. I will cover your first night if you choose one of the outer inns, but we have many rooms in this tower if you wish to reside.
I will take my leave then. Mandrido, can I bother you for a few more moments?
Oh, I was very much considering following you, my brother. I have words to share. Well, it's not that I share with in open company.
My thoughts exactly.
One last thing, my liege. I wish to learn more about the afterlife and if specifically the Shadowfell. Is there anyone here that you suggest I could start with to speak with that?
The city of Roka is known for its spiritual ties, Dragon Slayer. You will find the pinnacle of this belief, of this study, at the height of the ziggurat of heavenly resplendence, of whom you perhaps have shared a glance with its current holder, as you can hear this soft breath against the back of your neck, as almost like in a quick speed, a big bounce, a soft shift of a chair, this gentle padded foot lands behind you, and you can hear this soft, almost rolling voice purr its way from past her lips. Curious about the land of the dead.
a perfect place to find yourself, Dragon Slayer. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Iros. I am the head mistress of the Serene Eternity, those who tend to the great tombs of this city and give reverence to the gods above and beyond. If you wish to learn, to commune, to speak, to become one with the spirits who roam past life and death, I can certainly give you my teachings. Perhaps, if there is anyone you wish to speak to, our mediums can conjure them. A voice from beyond the grave, wisdom beyond death.
At the moment, I'm more interested in learning how to do just that, but it's getting late. I will come either tomorrow or within the next few days.
Oh, she needs her rest. Of course, of course. You will know where to find us. Where we reside in the most beautiful structure in the entire city. A resplendent and wonderful ziggurat. I will be looking forward to your curiosity, Luna.
Before I go, Jetty, Dragon Slayer just seems like such a weird thing to just call someone constantly. My name is Luna Dieter von Edensburg.
Dieter von Edensburg. A very curious name. But Luna Dieter von Edensburg.
I was actually wondering, you've been alive for quite a while. Do you know anything about a town near Dracova, I guess near the border of Dracova, called Edensburg?
The name is curious indeed, but nothing truly comes to mind. But perhaps you may find answers from beyond the grave. You think myself long-lived. I assure you I am, but my life, just as yours, just as any humans, will soon fade. It is on a timer. We are all collected by the Raven Queen when the time comes. I am no older than perhaps my consort here, Regid. And when he becomes the Wizard King, he will shy away from outliving myself. I cannot speak myself as an ancient being of all-knowing power. But that is where we have the ziggurat. When wisdom and knowledge is sought from the past, when that which has not been bound to tome is required. Sometimes speaking with the souls of ancestors past might provide the answers we need.
Well, thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure, Luna Dieter von Edensburg.
Just Luna's fine.
Luna!
Calm down, your boyfriend's not here anymore.
Oh, good. Are we leaving? As you see him, like, he has like a hand like right down by his waist as he's walking away. You can see he has like a small, like, looks like a parcel, looks like some napkins piled up and just a mound of bread and food he's just taking with him.
Yep, gotta make your plate.
All right. Anything else you guys are doing? Seems like the party's starting to disperse. Some of the individuals are making their way out. You definitely see Kuldar as he's making his own way home, taking a handful of food. Ramsey sort of gives you the finger to his eyes and points at you. I will see you in the arena, Kuldar. I wish to test that sharpened dragon sword of yours, especially when it's finished.
Indeed.
All right. What are you doing,
Well, it
Persephone?
has been a pleasure.
Persephone is gonna get up and she's kind of twisting her bracelet around. It happened like midway through the dinner when the king started talking, but she's gonna get herself a room in the tower.
Okay. And what are you doing, Swathala? Sorry.
It's been a pleasure, but the night is young. At least for myself. I think I will tour the city a bit before I retire.
Very well. The night is yours to have. Alrighty. So assuming everyone's scattering off, Samantha, you'd find a group of guards in one of the rooms. Looks like one of them closed off. Looks like they're specially guarded. Approaching them, you sort of introduce yourself, recognize them, open up the door, and see your kobolds just sort of hanging out. They sort of in this. It looks like a small, like a storage room of sorts, though not quite dingy. It almost seems like still very lovely. The walls themselves are gold. But the kobolds just seem to be sort of like picking at the ground. Some of them seem to be like trying to read the etchings in the walls. Some of it looks like old, now worn hieroglyphics. But yeah, seems like they're pretty well kept.
I sort of wait for them to get up and follow after me.
Sure.
As I just sort of nod at the guards as I lead them out of that place. We are regrouping. Stick with me. And of course, do not get yourself into any trouble if you are not with me.
This city is made of gold! Everything's gold! How do we
Yes.
take it?
It is not ours.
Has an
to take.
aneurysm.
Such is a waste!
As I look to try to regroup with the group, hopefully in like a decent little large room.
Oh yeah, they have some pretty accommodating rooms in this very large tower. It's like these large circular rooms, filled about the same size as the throne room, if not just like maybe 20 foot smaller, or yeah, about 20 foot smaller in radius. Enough to fit several beds lined up along the walls, as well as like beautiful adorned dressers. Even like it looks like a small fountain in the middle if one wishes to wash their face. Even separate rooms inside, like separate bathrooms of sorts, little restrooms. Very, very luxurious in this place. It seems like it is designed to be a place of comfort and luxury, beyond that of what you'd ever hope to find in a place like Oakwell.
Yeah, assuming I find a decently sized, room that could accommodate all of us to sort of converse and maybe rest, I would just sort of usher the kobolds in and then just close the door behind them and look for like any like guards or like tower people sort of going about.
Yeah, there's like maybe like when you're walking towards one of these rooms, about like a 10-foot walk, like a small hallway leading up to the actual doors themselves. If you step out beyond, you might see a guard taking patrol here or there. But besides that, they're relatively kept to themselves. If you're stepping out in the middle of the open walkway, there's definitely going to be a guard with an eye. But inside your room with the door shut, seems like it's pretty clear.
Yeah, just looking, if not a guard, like maybe like an attendant or someone who looks like they work for the palace or
Sure.
And finding someone, I would ask if they would be willing to do a favor for me for a few platinum pieces.
It would depend on the nature of the favor.
Just to find my compatriots and direct them here.
Just murder the king. It's fine.
I will do such without recourse, as he would not accept the payment. He would just go fulfill his duty.
Excellent.
All right. So yeah, after some time, there'd be a guard going around to each one of you, wherever you are, wherever you're doing, to pull you up to the room. But in the meantime, while she's settling up her kobolds in the big hotel room, let's see. Anyone doing anything particular besides Tamar Khan and Mendra Khan?
Nope, I'll just find a room in the tower.
Okay.
I suppose the market district's still open. And the ziggurat.
Oh yeah, walking outside to the entire city. So Talwa, you're gonna see a great expanse. Like it's quite beautiful even at night. The lighting torches that line the walls and even the streets themselves give off this beautiful soft glow color that glitters and shines in the night like stars embedded in the walls. As you find yourself leaving the actual ziggurat itself, or leaving the noble district, the holy district of the Golden Tower, going through a walkway that seems to take you actually through and around the stadium itself. It seems like it's one of the connecting points between the two halves of the city, until eventually you reach the large and expansive, both artisan and market district and living district that's known as the Warrens. Are you just browsing, seeing what's out there? What are you doing?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Just looking around and familiarizing herself with the town and the city and the map.
Sure.
So scouting it out.
At night, it's pretty calm to the far north. You're walking through what looks to be a large district of large stone buildings with great open areas, like workstations, where sculptors, carvers, smiths do a lot of their creation. But a lot of these places seem to be not abandoned, but empty for now. The storefronts have a soft glow of light from candles and torches inside. People are inside, either sleeping, tending to stuff, or maybe just finishing up some projects. But no one's out really doing their daily work. It seems like it's been done at this hour. Beyond that, the Warrens are a bit more active. It seems like the closer you get towards the southern part, you can see a number of smaller buildings, some of them of decent condition, like we might expect of Oakwell if they had their buildings made out of stone. Others more dilapidated, small huts huddled together into sort of these makeshift homes where you could see like a combination of maybe well-off people who maybe do some basics trade or manual labor during the day. Others much less paid, a bit more dirtier, grungier. You can see some cutthroats and pickpocket types sort of hanging around corners, eyeing each other suspiciously, especially you, quite, I'm assuming, well-dressed from the from being in the Holy District, giving you a good eye, and some of them started to tail you, maybe for a few bit, but unless you let them get too close, they'll hold off after they you sort of escape their reach. Pretty obvious that this place is in pretty decent condition, but there's still the marks of poverty and the blemishes that come with it. The southern
Are there
part,
many people around besides them?
not a whole lot. Again, it's a large district with tons of people. But it is nighttime, so they're mostly gathered in small groups or on their lonesome. People who are on their lonesome typically are moving from point A to point B quite quickly, just scuttling from the city at one point to the other, trying to make it where they need to be. Seems like there is a common knowledge here that it's not a great place to be in the middle of the night in the depths of the Warrens. Bad things might happen.
How long has it been since we've done calling back all the way back? How long has it been since we've been in the tavern when we picked up Tamarcon?
Time-wise?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's been at least about 2 months, I think, in total travel time from meeting Tamarcon, preparing for the dragon, fighting the dragon, getting to the dragon, fighting the dragon, coming back, returning home, spending a week, and then teleporting here. About 2 months, maybe just more so. It is the 28th of December, if that gives you a new time reference.
We started the downtime.
Oh, it's almost a new year.
October
almost a new year.
28th.
Oh, that's real close. That is real close. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nah,
So
she'll lose them for now.
Happy New Year, punk. As
You get to keep your life this time.
making your way further down south, you do see a bit more life actually down here in this somewhat familiar looking area. These long stretches of sand with closely packed buildings that seem to have fewer rooms in them, but there's more familiar faces walking between them. Humans that are svelte and well kept with short, pointy ears. You recognize a lot of them as being half-elves. And there's a lot more walking here than there are in the normal Warrens, at least considering that perhaps due to the somewhat nocturnal and, more nocturnal nature that elves seem to have, able to wander in the dark without any trouble to their vision. Let's see. But despite sort of seeming like a more well-off area where people are a bit more friendly and open with each other, there is a district you pass through that does give you sort of an eerie feeling. If the Northern Warrens has their pickpockets and their cutthroats, there is a more darker, sinister nature that you find crossing around the Elven Bridge. This large silver bridge that spans this basically deep gap in the middle of the city. It looks like a great, what do you call it? A crevice going deep into the hard sandstone beneath. It looks like maybe around here you might see elves wearing full suits of leathery armor and even dark hoods that hide their expressions, their faces, basically everything in the dark here. Seems like it might be where some of the underground or black market trading might occur within the Elven district itself. And give me a perception check.
Perception. God damn, I kicked your shit open. Come on, shift double left click, I believe in you. And 1.
Okay.
14.
Looking in the dark, you could have sworn, Tim or Swift Hollow, that while peeking beneath the bridge, seeing some of the creatures walking around beneath in the darkness, that you'd seen some walk off into the shadows and never return. As if they just walked into like a corner, and when you'd expect them to return from the darkness, from the edges of your vision, there was nothing there.
Oh hum. Okay.
But yeah. Still making your way around. Still making your way around the city, doing the full sweep.
Yeah, she'll do her full sweep and then she'll return back to here at a later date.
Sure. Yeah, as you're making
There's
your way
something
down,
pulls at her, telling her that
there's
all the time to yourself.
there is a harsh cut divide in the poverty line between where you're walking now, Swift Hollow, and the merchant district that you now enter. You can see this place is, again, mostly closed. There are some stores that are still open. It seems like a lot of general places, inns and taverns alike that have made their home here. But immediately there is a spike in wealth, especially as you get closer to the noble district. You pass by this large, dark gray fort of sorts close to the ziggurat that you realize upon looking at, with the barred, I guess, windows, more like arrow slits around it. You realize it's actually a large prison. It looks like something they call the Iron Square, where the guards of this area throw some of the more heinous of ne'er-do-wells, keeping them close to the ziggurat so that the gods themselves will cast their judgment upon them. But as you go further down to the south, you find more interesting lots here, something you found a bit of in Cradlekeep during your own excursions. Closer you get to the noble district, the more nice and fine the buildings become. Even some of the inns there seem to be luxurious. Great and wealthy, expected nobles to pass through here, and it seems like, perfectly enough, it shares a neighborhood with this what's called the caravan district, where an assortment of exotic animals and inns seem to line the entire walkway. A place for the nobles to keep their trade close by while they indulge in some of the debaucheries you find here in the city. Even walking past some of the buildings, you can smell sweet tobacco, the smoke of hookah wafting from inside, and from one of the windows where you can hear the sounds of life chortling within, soft giggles in the walls that seem to be padded with silk. There's a lot of brothels on this side of town. There's a lot of brothels. But eventually, making your way further down along the merchant district again, more buildings, more simple, not just simple trade for about anything you want to find. There is another cut, harsh line in poverty to where you find squalid conditions. A large, looks like it would have been a fort at some time, walled off part of the city where people in sort of the worst of wares seem to reside. Their homes are huts made out of, like, not so much stone, but slabs of clay and wood. It seems like this is something called the brickyards. It's where a lot of the manual laborers who have no true skill in any trade reside and sleep, and then go to work on repairing and maintaining the ziggurat of the city. Strangely enough, they don't seem too particular upset about their, economical lifestyle. It seems like a lot of these people are either former prisoners or those who have simply given themselves their last days in service to the gods. And it seems as if a lot of them have made their homes in this sort of, what do you call it? What's a good name for it? Did I write this name down? Am I smart? Yeah, it looks like it's sort of this, like, shanty town of sorts. This, like, disheveled group that's called the Slave Pits. They don't truly have slaves within the walls of Roka. Mostly those who give themselves again to the gods, or those who are paying off the price of their criminal ways. But a lot of them have been sort of shoved and cornered into this small residential community of shoulder-to-shoulder workers who sleep in these more squalid conditions. And as you go back up to the northeast, you see the glory of the ziggurat still shining brightly even in the moonlight, and come back towards what looks to be one last corner of residential area, sort of similar in squalid condition, but those who live in this corner here of the city seem to be quite well off. There's an abundance of weapons to the hands of those walking around. Seems like there's not so many cutthroats or pickpockets. Instead, more men armed with armors and weapons, those who seem keen on making a name for themselves in the stadium. Until eventually, you reach your way back around, possibly spending like maybe 30 minutes, like an hour or so, just traveling around the city. It does not take to get too long to get across the entire thing. Not particularly a huge city, just kind of packed. Yeah.
Ore dump. Now we
Ore
know all
dump.
about the city.
Did your
You know.
routine. As
Okay, well, you can go run around the city and then hear that again.
I will.
As I suppose, if there's nothing else we'll do, return to. It looks like maybe one of the balconies on the edge of this great golden tower. One that allows you to actually step out upon its face and see the city, the night city, glittering below with a line of torchlights. And it seems to be the soft glow of the moonlight above, as Medricon has sort of guided you up to the far-reaching edge of this tower, Tamarcon. Sort of stepping out into the night, just getting some fresh air, having just spent an hour or so inside of a large metal building.
The air here is it's quite refreshing. Would not expect so in the desert, but I suppose the cooler air in the afternoon, it's different taste to it.
It seems as if this place, these deserts they have here, they change in mere hours. A sun hanging overhead high, it is a blistering wasteland, but when it sets, it becomes a gentle land, and even a cool and wintry night once it finally hides itself.
Indeed. This is actually the land in which I first fell into this world 20 years ago or so. It was not quite as hospitable as I was hoping. I thought the world was a wasteland when I first arrived. Thankfully, some people discovered me. And the accent even somewhat stuck for as long as I've been here. But I don't want to take too much of your time. I understand you have your own tasks to seek to. You seem to be running out of time, so I don't want to bother you too much. But I'm curious about some things. Some to help myself and some... Well, to be honest, some lessons I probably should have remembered, but I do not. First, I know when they were talking about the replicas, I understand they are meant to be a fragment of what they truly are, but I have tried for years to find out more about the Iron Rod, and I have learned nothing. Have you had any luck with the crown? You know what I am supposed to do?
You know, when we received these treasures, they were given to us in particular for a reason. A reason we may not know, but a reason indeed. The iron bar was not always iron in its past. When the Monkey King wielded himself, it was the metal that could not be broken. No force in this world could bend it. And yet when you hold it in your hand, you can see it yourself. It is not such a material. With a good swing, with perhaps a hard fist, or maybe the arm of Gorkan, the thing might break before your grasp. No. Just as you, my little brother, still green and wandering in this world, it too must grow and change. It is a treasure given to you, just as mine is given to me, to complete our task. And so as you complete your tasks, as you achieve greatness, it too will begin to grow. How long ago was it that you slayed that dragon? That you beat back one of the Titanborn of this wonderful world?
It's been 2 or so weeks now.
And how often have you given that weapon of yours a test?
We fought some things within a dream of sorts. I'm not really sure what all that was that you sent us. So you see, I need to test it. Maybe the arena would be a good place.
As certainly would be. If you are truly a slayer of a dragon, I believe you will find the iron bar growing harder and harder with every passing day. Give it time, it will grow stronger.
It's good to hear.
But
What?
I would warn you. These items we are given. They are decided for us for a reason, even a reason that I, in all of my knowledge, may not always know. But I do know, in times long past, when these competitions have been held,
You have not always held that bar in your hand. Just as I have not always worn this crown on my head, nor Gorkon has cast away his robe. But a sinking feeling, almost like a distant memory, perhaps a gift from my father. It tells me that if Gorkon were to find that rod in your hands, he would do anything to strip it away from you.
I have the same feeling. Yes, I understand.
Tamarkan, I have a question of you.
Of course.
Do you truly wish to win this competition? You speak of it as if it is a game, but it is a very important task. You are deciding how a king should rule.
Mandre, you know this is how we are. I understand you have your ambition. It is what drives you. It's what makes you have to win. And I understand that you will try to win as much as you possibly can, even when you have already won. For me, though, winning is not the journey. To remain victorious at the end is such a small part of life. For me, it is simply getting there that is all that is worthwhile. If I shall win, very well. If not, so be it. I will live the life that was given to me. And I think how I experience this life must be something the Monkey King has. It must be something that the Monkey King must continue to experience. So, that is what I will give him. Even if I shall not be him.
I hope that when this is all over, I feel your content with such things. It is a treasure that I find in you, brother. Content, indulgence, being able to feel what you want and reach for it and be fine with it. Do not have an endless pull. That is my end, my journey.
Of course. Which in saying that, though, I may be taking a bit of a page out of your book, because it seems, maybe it is too much, but have you heard of the numismatic?
Are you thinking? No. Tamarkan.
I don't know. Look, the people that I have entered with, many of them have some lofty ideals, and I thought maybe if they were up to such grandiose adventures, I should give it a shot as well. If I shall fail, very well, but why not give it a try? At least enjoy myself while doing it. And yes, I've looked into it. As I open up my big old bag on my hip, I reach in and I pull out a piece of paper. I was wondering if you could take a look at something as I hand it over to him.
Oh, what have you gotten yourself into? As he pulls at the sheet, and what does it say on the sheet?
It's a big old scrawling of the teleportation circle in the incantation of Tin's little height.
I see.
They mentioned the incantation. We actually met them. That's where we came from a little while ago. You probably know we came through the circle. I think that's what that is. But I was there once before, and they asked us to stand within a circle, and we were taken somewhere, and then my memory is gone. I remember nothing from standing upon the circle to reappearing, and they speaking to us as if something had happened. I feel as though it is a clue to the modern smart. Is there anything you could tell me of it to get around this thing that stops me from or figuring out where it goes?
Memory is a tricky thing, brother. It is something that I tackle every day. You are gifted with Father's cunning, and I am gifted with his knowledge. It comes to me like bubbles in the water, pops and moments of inspiration and wisdom and knowledge. I cannot always control it, and I cannot always comprehend it. But when I put the pieces together, a key makes itself known. A moment of clarity, and with the power of the crown, I find myself making new connections, even for instances and moments that have not yet happened. I believe.
Boy, I was overjoyed when I heard you were on this plane.
I believe if you are looking for a key to steal something such as the numismati, and bless you for attempting such a thing, I believe you may wish to travel there on your own if you find such things possible. The 10, they are wizards of great power. If your mind has been stripped of its memories, if you cannot remember from standing in that circle to appearing, and perhaps the memories lie inside of you somewhere. The magic that is used to suppress may be used to undo.
Ah. So find someone else who specializes in removing memories from some, and they may be able to give them back.
Certainly. The numismati resides in the vault of Cradle Keep. You've certainly heard of their warnings, have you not, brother? That the treasures that lie within are not simply kept for their value, they're kept from the rest of the world with reason. It is said that a good man, even the most righteous of holy men, may spot a treasure within that vault that may corrupt them, change their very foundation, poison them with greed. There's a reason why they hide, but that certainly sounds like a suitable challenge for a future king.
Of course. I am sure the Titans told the creatures of the world the same things, that they hid them away for their more good.
So this will be your task then, Tamarkan? To steal the numismati?
Possibly. As you say, I still do not even have any memories of the place, so who's to say? It may be an impossibility for me, but I'll try my best.
Well, it is certainly an impulse I encourage you to follow through with.
Ha.
For me, I shall remain in this city for some time. I have grown attached to it. Did you know, Tamarkan, that this city long, long ago used to be a sprawling jungle in the middle of the old world, with pools of shimmering water?
I think this is the place.
I have a feeling that your arrival here was not by chance. And if anything, the beauty of this place, what people have built upon this dead land, I would like it. I think it would make a very suitable gift.
Ambitious as always, my brother. Just do not get yourself into much trouble, as the past selves have. I'd like to see you at the end this time.
I am a noble king, Tamarkan. I do not take without giving. If I were to acquire this city, I would not do without leaving behind a treasure. New life to bloom upon these dead lands. But such is a task I cannot accomplish on my own. I have my own champions, and I have paid my own price to see them as my champions. As his sort of withered hand grabs onto his staff.
Anyway. Well, if I shall not see you again, which I hope we do, I guess hope you see at the finish of all of this. Back within the kingdom.
May it be a fine and fun competition, brother.
As I step out off to the side of the tower. Well, I shall bid you a good night, my brother. As I hop down and scratch my way down the side of the building.
Just sliding down, hand grinding along the side of this smooth metal wall, just taking in the sights of this desert night. As unless there's anything else you guys want to do, meeting up with Samantha in the room.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Just murder the entire city.
Sure. After about an hour or so passed, some of you going off and doing your own thing, eventually you would be met by a guard somewhere along. One of them quite confused, seeing a monkey man sliding down the side of this massive building. Other one having to go outside the actual holy district to find this wandering, very hard to find, very stealthy individual
eventually met by a guard who lures you back to the Golden Tower, to this large room in which all of you reside, including the kobolds and Bran, who seems to be still shoveling food into his mouth. Was there anything you want to do in the room? Or just get in the room?
Why have you summoned us, Samantha?
You know, I almost forgot.
Oh, is there something? What's going on?
Oh, I remember now. I was hoping to arrange a bit of a meeting, if you will, with the gladiatorial arena in this place. Potentially a way for us to increase our notoriety locally. It seems like you have a bit of history with that scarred and grizzled fellow, Quildor.
Indeed, I've spent nearly 50 years in the White Sands.
He seems to have a bit of a reputation here as well, considering he's in the King's Court.
The champions are well received and well honored here.
Well, perhaps we should see about having our name etched in the same fashion, in addition to our own deeds, of course. And I hoped from there to take a look at the ziggurat. It seemed to be the thing that separated one half of the city from the other, and from there going about our own business. Tomorrow, after we've had some rest.
It is a beautiful place, and it is well guarded and watched by both the living and the dead. So look over at Tamarkan and Swatala.
Which one of us is the dead?
Oh, but of course. I have surveyed the Warrens.
Then I'm sure you know there are easier places to do the things you enjoy to do.
Oh, me? I don't think there's anything here I want to steal.
You
Really,
barely
the city
seen
of
the
gold.
city.
What is gold? Anybody can get gold? I mean, there might be something, but I don't know of anything here. More importantly, I would love to fight in the arena, though. I love that idea, Samantha.
I figured you might. You seemed enthusiastic about the dinner.
I hope you don't get the wrong idea. I don't feel constantly that I can control myself. I simply put tasks in front of myself because I need to practice. And at the end of it all, I need to find something worth taking. And, you can't run before you walk. I'll let you know if I put my eyes on anything. Yes? How about that?
Something you need to put in that thousands of years worth of collection that you're bribing me with.
So it is.
I will spend time in the market and the caravan districts, connecting with old friends and colleagues, perhaps seeing if there's anything we could transport to Scarreach for profit and favors.
You'll most likely find me at the top of the ziggurat. I need to speak with people there. Brown.
Oh, yes.
You know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you, Bram. I kind of hired you because I kind of felt bad, and I was going on an emotional high of learning about my leniency. I have no real idea what to use you for.
Would you like me to continue to train him?
Well, retainers are kind of mostly for show if you don't have anything for them to do.
I mean, I can. You need me to go buy something? I can go buy something.
I could take him to the many brothels within the city. You said you wanted him to have fun, did you not?
Please don't force him to do something like that. I don't really think he's comfortable with that.
I mean, I'll do it if you want me to go. I mean, do you want?
I
No,
figured he would have gone
Your
on his
first-
own volition.
But
your first time will be with some girl or boy that you care about. As I pat his shoulder awkwardly.
so I can't go to. I mean,
Do you want to?
I feel that's kind of an embarrassing question to answer.
As your
to be
lawyer, I
honest,
have to advise you, you don't have to answer that question.
it's a snake
Brett,
lawyer.
Just
I
give
will-
him
I mean, who
all
better?
that
I will walk.
He wants to do.
We can go for a walk
Anyways.
tomorrow, Brad. It's fine. We can stretch your legs.
Anyways, right, you said you wanted to be a knight in the future. So
I mean, yeah, as a dream I had, I'd like to be a knight. But is that what you want me to do? I don't want you to fire me, Luna. Like, you really
I'm
got
not
me
gonna
in
fire
a
you.
position. Okay, good. You got me. I really like what you got going for Mom and me.
like, even if I don't use you for like anything, I'm not gonna fire you. I already hired you.
Thank you.
And if the worst were to come to pass, and you were to be without employment, I would hire you.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I'm not gonna fire you.
Right.
Now get the
Just a side grin comes across Quildor's face.
What?
Just a side grin.
I would treat him well.
Trained at the
What
kobold.
are kobolds doing right now? Like, I just imagine they're like the 12 fucking.
Oh, you
monkeys.
hear clattering sounds. You see them going through. It looks like drawers full of silverware, grabbing things. You can see like Zasir like talking to the other ones.
Grab whatever sharp thing you can. We prepare for the arena.
What on earth are you all doing? Stop it!
You
Can
say
I just like grab one from the scruff of their neck and just be like, you will be slayed in an arena in less than 2 seconds.
I
It's
am
not your
mighty.
place. Your place is to serve her. I'll just drop them back on the ground.
I don't know. We've seen them fight. That one with the shield was quite martial.
Yes, they have potential, but they're not ready.
Maybe you could teach them too, Chloe.
No.
He
I will
considers
teach
himself
Brad.
too far better.
And Bran could possibly teach them.
I don't want to do that.
Join the
So anyway,
club.
Brian, my plan for you for now on will be when I get my town back, you will be a knight in my town. So train up with Quill.
Yes, ma'am. Oh wow. Town and a knighthood. All right. I'll train with you, Quill.
Don't worry. You will surely die before you are a knight, Asling.
Oh, that's not really encouraging.
For him to be a warrior and a soldier, he needs not only tough armor, but tough skin.
I
And
got
he
pretty
needs
tough
to be
skin.
able to
Mask
hold
it.
back anger when one insults him. Patience is a knight's best defense,
I mean, I got temper sometimes, but I'm pretty good at keeping it under
and I will
control.
break you of that temper.
So good luck.
Anyway,
I can bench press,
Samantha.
and I will break you with that bench press.
Yes, Swift Hollow.
Right.
well, I
Just
made a
stop
grand
it.
choice.
So I'm telling the kobolds to put the knives and shit back.
It's the sharpest one.
Back in the drawers. And sit
And I
down.
can
Oh,
make them
maybe.
go.
Are they like near us, or are they just like away from
They're
us?
like
In the room.
they're
Just
scattered.
fucking
You're like,
running around. I
occasionally,
bet.
occasionally, as you guys are talking, you see like one little like copper-colored head bobbing across like your waist, going from one side of the room to the other, opening drawers, looking for more objects.
Like the mob that can't control.
Yeah,
her
Swift
7
Hollow
years.
just like
Kid
pat,
just screaming. Yeah.
Swift Hollow
Oh, a
just
bunch
like
of fucking
pats one of them
toddlers.
on the head. Yeah, how very quaint. Anyways, Lady Blackburn sends her regards. I have informed her of the guild project. She has extended an interest, and I do believe it will be completed faster than usual.
Good. I trust Jody to handle the goings-on with that. And I appreciate you, well, greasing the wheels, so to speak.
Yeah, Swift Hollow puts her hand on her chest and does her signature Swift hollow bow. I am the liaison between you and Lady Blackburn and the Valiant Vanguard. I represent the both interests, the best interest of both.
How is that supposed to work exactly?
Well, Lady Blackburn extends an interest into the guild, and it comes back in, twofold. The guild is faster, built faster, and Lady Blackburn is happier.
And how much of our business does Lady Blackburn need to know? Because of her
Only
interest
the ones that
in
benefit
us.
her.
I think
Only
the
the
better
kind
question:
that keeps her interested.
how much
Yes.
of our business do you tell Lady Blackburn?
Only what
Only
is necessary.
benefits both of us. I have asked Swift Hollow to keep things between us previously, and as far as I know and understand, she has upheld that end of the bargain. It would be very disadvantageous to both Swift Hollow and to Lady Blackburn for her to violate my trust. An
As
understanding
Swift
we
Hollow bows
reached a
again.
while ago.
I am a professional, after all.
She does understand that this is a guild for the people and not for her to control.
Yes.
The Blackburn name has much power attached to it.
That's my
Power,
concern.
yes, and also obligations.
Remember,
How did you come into Lady Blackburn's employment anyways? How long have you been working for her?
Obviously, she saw a skilled individual in Swift Hollow.
I'm waiting for Swift Hollow to answer.
see all of my snakes sort of turn and look at you, Swift Hollow.
A knife!
All right, all of you, stand over there as I just point them and order them to stand by the window.
Can't
At
you just like
attention.
put them to sleep or something, Samantha? Wave your hand and do a thing.
I gotta go tuck in the kobolds. Hold on.
Samantha has mom energy.
I would wager I have known Adam Blackburn for perhaps several decades.
Who's Adam Blackburn? Did you say Madam or
Madam
Adam?
Blackburn.
Oh, I heard Adam.
I heard Madam.
And I heard Adam.
Adam.
Context,
Please, guys.
Yeah, I heard Adam.
Did she?
So how did you come?
Fine.
Of course, I
Oh.
didn't properly go into employment until recently, perhaps within the last year. As you know, I do consider myself Mobian and not Illyrian. Elf of Brokenridge.
Do we have a problem with this, Miss Blackburn? I'm sorry, I don't know who that is, but
She
Oh.
is an interesting individual of great. What is the word I'm looking for?
She's a sneaky,
Influence.
conniving bitch. There you go,
don't-
tomorrow.
I don't think one could call her a bitch.
Wait, you talking
I could.
about the Blackburn, like the V Blackburn, like the Blackburn Initiative, the one who owns all the roads in Mobia?
Yes.
Yes.
But Hollow points to her pin.
Wow. That's,
And the same
wow.
one that sits on the board of trade. She not only controls the roads, but she controls trade. That's a lot of power for somebody to have.
In Mobia.
She takes an interest in our guild.
It's a lot of money.
so we
But
don't
more
like
than
the
we
road
do-
Gain
lady?
interest from her.
Interest is one thing. Controlling interest is another. But like
Of
Samantha
course, as long
said,
as I'm here to negotiate. I'm the liaison. You don't need to worry.
I mean, at the moment, it doesn't even seem like we know like how much involved she's going to be. She just has an interest in it.
There are just
So,
some
like,
things I'd rather Blackburn doesn't know.
I've been a sellsword before in my life. I do not wish to go back down that road.
Yes, we're certainly not going
You
to be selling our
Anyways.
services to the highest bidder every time, but in terms of Blackburn controlling the Valiant Vanguard, this is my baby, Persephone, and you know how possessive I am.
Speaking of highest bidder, how will we go about turning down those that would send us to certain doom as dragon slayers?
Politely,
Yeah,
with
we're
a
going to
smile,
join that
of
civil
course.
war. New civil war. New just war? Sounds like there's war, and it sounded like they were hinting that they would want to hire us. Is that what they were all saying about?
War?
No. If you all don't sit down, I swear I'm going to end up putting you
We
outside.
just speak of talking and fighting, but we tell them not to fight. What are we doing? What is our purpose?
Listen?
Don't start
As y'all
this so
just sit-
soon.
Okay, I don't know. Let's not. I don't even know what to get into that. I'm tired. So,
We will be
Irina
able to
fighting
say
tomorrow?
no.
Yes, no?
Yes, of course
I
we'll be
think
able
we
to
should
say
do the
no.
arena. Good.
I think we
The
should do
arena
the
would be
arena.
at the height of the festival, would it not?
Would it? It's in 3 days, I thought.
It makes sense. It is the way that the biggest crowd would be there. The most drink, the most storytelling, the most advertising. You
Fair
want your
point.
name to be known in the city, you do it at the peak of the festival. Make that be the last thing people remember before they become blackout drunk.
So we're
Fair
waiting 3
enough,
days.
Kildor. We were going to spend about that much time here anyway.
Well, then maybe I will steal something.
Just not at the ziggurat. And the paladins are not known to be favorable to thieves. Hands
those
have been
people are
known
not.
to go missing.
Just don't
Something
get caught, Marcon.
That's exactly my thought.
Do not get caught. Do not implicate me or the Valiant Vanguard.
Understood.
I mean,
Ron,
you
I
stole
will
the
see you at
herb
5
the other
a.m. for
time.
your first training session.
Yes, sir. I call you sir, right?
Yes.
All right then. Yeah, yes, sir, Quildor.
You know, I think his
Anyways.
wooden sword was left in the carriage.
We can buy another one.
Sure, one of the
already
warriors
covered.
can.
He's not ready for a wooden sword.
I'm not.
No. I will
Okay,
teach you how
well.
to block with a shield first, and how to stand your ground. The best offense for a knight is a defense.
You're the boss, I guess. Thank you.
Alright, so we'll arrange our little contest at the arena tomorrow, then go to the cigarettes, and from there you can go about the city for the next few days until, I guess it's time for our appearance, so to speak. We shall see how that all shakes out, though, tomorrow. And kobolds, I'll speak with you in a moment. But with the rest of you, I don't have anything else that needs to be addressed right now. So,
As Swift Hollow sort of
Leave
mumbles
tomorrow at
something
8.
under her breath.
I suppose there is one last thing, though. All of you, well fought these last few troublesome moments, both with Obsidious and with whatever that was in those gardens. It was a dark place that we went to, and I am thankful that I had each and every one of you at my side in getting out of that darkness. I do not know if I could have done
no
it
worries
without
for a
you.
second.
As for a moment, you see a face of genuine appreciation for each of you, as somebody that sort of just looks amongst the group.
Yeah, Swithhollow mumbles something, and you see the gown illusorily disappear and is replaced by Swithhollow's usual garb. As the animated expression she once had now fades into this blank marble. Business aside, I do have my best interest.
Wonderful.
No, with
You
that,
have your best interest in mind?
she has our best interest
As you
in
see,
mind.
as Swithhollow takes the pin of the Blackburn initiative off and then just places it back in the bag.
You wear many
Acting
faces.
old Swithhollow, not business Swithhollow. Not, I gotta be acting like a noble and I gotta go rep Blackburn Swithhollow.
It's challenging to serve two masters.
She
You
does it
wouldn't
quite
know.
well.
Oh,
But
I've
we
known
can-
what it's like to serve two masters.
But we can
Or if
trust
you
you.
just Of course.
She was willing
Yes.
to die alongside
Patriots.
Persephone.
I place my life in yours and you do the same. That being said, I do strike to kill. So if we do fight in the arena, make sure we fight someone you don't mind dying.
I'm sure they have precautions against such things. But,
They do not.
I would hope so.
oh, how unfortunate for him then.
They do not!
You just died!
Everyone died! Even if you live, they kill you!
So if we're going to be in the arena and there's that possibility, I'd rather not be involved. After seeing
Fight
the
great
hunk in Broken
creatures
Age.
After seeing
or
what,
we
its
have-
constructs.
what was your concern, Persephone?
Well, after watching the hunk fight in his, it was just a death match. I don't want to be a part of that.
You don't want to be
Fighting-
part of an execution.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to die either, so I'm not going to be setting us up for an execution.
No, she means she doesn't want to have to kill somebody just for entertainment.
Gestures to
human.
Cordor.
Till we fight monstrous things.
We could fight
like, I don't know.
monsters.
And then we fight animals.
The king does have constructs just like that of the creature or thing that we saw in Crossway. A machine that looks like a man, but is no man. I'm
going
sure,
to fight that
Samantha,
big
you will
guy.
find the most entertaining thing.
Yes, it's something that we can all stomach. I would hate to see you relegated to the stands, Persephone. Your talents are extraordinarily unique amongst us. And your contributions to the Valiant Vanguard are invaluable and should be known. But a final note before I kick you all the hell out of my room. Persephone, we are dragon slayers, and I'm sure it has been impressed upon you many times the dangers that are going to be coming our way, but something you should be cognizant of is the people that have those dangerous jobs for us are going to be more Blackburns. It's only going to be nobles and people with power and influence who are going to want to call upon us going forward. Your distrust and distaste for her is warranted, but no more or less than any other noble.
As Swithhollow nods.
Trust no one, Persephone. Not just Madame Blackburn. Every noble, every person with power who wants something from us should be carefully considered.
I
For
understand.
free.
That's not going to be a problem. Lady Blackburn just
Gives
reminds
you
me
the
too much of the
heebie-jeebies.
code I've heard. She reminds
Well,
me
I
too much of
apologize.
Volante. And that's what I
She
don't like.
does. She does have a certain elvish quality of herself.
Hmm.
Well, I apologize that I made allies for someone you detest so much, Little Light.
I do not detest the woman. I just do not trust her.
Percy smiles a little at that.
Well, before Samantha kicks us all out,
And so she eyes you, Swift Hollow, now that the Broken Ridge garb and act has been put away.
the news of the council meeting in Illyria, that is of really big importance to me. Not just because I'm of Illyria, but because back home, I am a lady. I am Lady Valora of the city of Inalin. And my brother may or may not be on that council, and I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
You think you'll be
So,
here? Maybe you can meet your brother.
You're a noble. Really? Did I
you can
refer
see
to
why
you
that's not
by that?
fun. No.
No?
Valora's been left behind. I'm just Persephone now. The titles I hold are the ones that I've earned, and ones that I wear proudly. But you can see that might be something I do not want Blackburn knowing.
Well, that makes two of us for abandoning our elven names.
Oh.
Very well.
And but yeah, if the time comes where the council could be meeting, or maybe I'll even start reaching back home and seeing if I could get an ear to the ground. I might need to go back, and I don't know what would that mean. I don't know why I would need to go back, but I might need to. And I just wanted
We
everybody
will
to
go
be
with
aware of
you.
that. I couldn't ask at that of any of you. It's a very
Persephone,
long.
you didn't have to ask us. You have proven your worth far and above anything anyone could ever have asked of you. It would be an honor.
I haven't been to Illyria in almost 10 years or so. I'd love to see the place again.
I went to
Speak
my
for yourself.
hometown to fight my vampire adopted father a quick while ago.
I haven't
have a-
been in Illyria in almost 3 centuries.
We have a very nice ship just sitting there, waiting to take us there. It's just been sitting there forever. I want to use my ship, Persephone. So
You have a
hurry
ship?
up and find out if there's something important and juicy going on over there. Otherwise, we'll do something else.
We do have a boat just of great elven design, Tamarkan.
Oh. If we're going back to Illyria, we can go see the unicorns also.
Unicorns are in Illyria? Wait, I should have known this. Why haven't I seen a unicorn in
Well-
Illyria yet?
Well, further west.
Ah.
But that is for figuring out after we finally make our return to Oakwell. There's a lot of time and planning and travel on the road ahead of us, but let us just take it one day at a time, shall we, as I open up the door and start motioning you all out, except for Luna, of course.
Just
Just before I
one
leave.
stolen thing from the ziggurat at a time. Understood. As I walk out.
Nothing from the
Do you have a tail?
Tamarkan.
Do you have a tail? You have a tail, right? Yeah, I just
Yep.
fucking as you walk out and say that, I sort of yank on your tail, like not hard, just like playfully, just like you fucking butt.
Fucking
You know,
pops off.
you know what you're supposed
Okay, I
to do.
deserve that.
Just gently stroke your tail.
I didn't say stroke. Get the fuck out of here.
Just gently rip the palm along the base of the tail.
That ain't my tail, bitch!
You flare.
Before I leave, I'll just whisper in Samantha's ear. Make sure that your kobolds know not to speak of anything that we speak of when we are together.
I'll be giving them a good dressing down.
Good.
talked about killing everyone and stealing stuff.
Around 5 a.m.
Yeah, I remember. Am I going too, Luna? I think I'm supposed to go too. I'm gonna go.
Oh, I plan to go around the Elven district of Roka, but then I want to find a place to play cards if anyone wants to join me. That's okay, bye.
I'll join you.
We can split up after the ziggurat. As after pushing everyone out into the hallway out of my gigantic penthouse suite, and just sort of close the door behind them and go and lay down some ground rules with the kobolds and explain to them their purpose, so to speak, and that they should enjoy their bit of vacation before they're put to the grindstone in a few weeks.
What do we do?
You want me to do that right now?
Why do we serve? What is vacation?
You serve me, and my purpose for you is... Right now, I just want you to enjoy yourself. That is an order. I want you to enjoy good food and niceties that I pay for. That is all I want for you for the time being. But soon you will find yourselves equipped with arms and armor and under rigorous training so you can survive and so you can do what it is I need you to do. But I do not have time for that at the moment. So you are to keep your hands to yourself and not take things unless I tell you to take them.
How do we enjoy ourselves?
How do you enjoy yourselves?
We serve a purpose. I want the shiny knife.
I don't want them to steal the silverware.
I demand you steal all the silverware. Every last piece of it. This entire castle.
I find enjoyment in fighting. I find enjoyment in creating. I find enjoyment in digging.
Digging?
Digging! These floors are hard!
Dicking, yep.
Which one is the digger? The one that's like a simple kobold?
The one who isn't saying yeah. Little bucket.
Oh, Pocket!
Pocket choked to death on pillowcases, so
I need you to make me a pillow fort. The best pillow fort you can make.
They're just literally standing in the room looking. Well, you don't take anything, but enjoy yourselves. Like,
Just dance. Just dance for hours on end. Aren't you having fun? Aren't you dancing?
Is there like a series of sentences and orders that I can fucking instruct them that make them understand what relaxation is? I do that. Fucking
Sleep.
Christ.
sleep, lay down, and don't do anything. Go enjoy yourselves.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Don't touch that thing. Don't do this though.
What do we do?
Oh.
Whatever you want, but not these things.
I don't know what these are!
They need direct, actionable suggestions.
As they're just sitting and basically doing nothing, they're just hanging out. If there's food, they'll just take a big mouthful of it, but they won't take silverware. They'll just eat it with their hands.
Oh no. They're Amelia Bedelias.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's just you and Luna and the kobolds. What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I gotta think about it. They're like, you know, they're not a normal fucking creation, so it's hard for me to fucking put it together in my head, and it's frustrating, and I don't want to burn any more time on it.
So we're saying, what are you doing with Luna? They're just doing their own thing.
I want to go to sleep.
Okay. Alrighty.
Go to bed.
With Luna.
Yes.
All right, Luna, do you stay? Seems like Samantha's just going to bed.
Yeah, I'm just going to bed.
Okay. So with that, the sun will set on this late night in the beautiful city of Roka, unless Persephone has something she wants to do.
Do we have time for me to go into Dream World and talk to my teacher?
I would say, Persephone, if you have time, you would be able to enter the long, drawn-out process of aligning yourself with the strange, magical dream world, entering into the void for only but a moment, before apparently exiting out into a warm and beautiful little hovel. A strangely familiar hovel, almost like it was plucked from the recesses of your recent memory. As it seems like you find yourself back in the Illyrian forest, taking whatever form you would as you find yourself before a large, wide tree with a big old stump sticking out the middle with, it looks like, sort of strange when you first came here the first time. It almost seemed like plucked out of a fairy tale. A large, wide tree with glowing amber lights inside. Bleeding through it looks to be small portholes and windows. You find yourself in the dream world, manifesting at the door of your master's hut, but the contents of which we will enter into the next session with, as we will begin the next session of Song of Rapture with Persephone once again reuniting in the dream of her master Erisoph. But that, on this long and winding session, is the end of tonight's session of Song of Rapture.
That's fair.
Mail in a while.
As yeah, that is all I got for you, baby.
Huzzah! He lives in a tree!
Indeed, as I certainly hope you all enjoyed tonight's politicking and whining and dining and conversating about the future and future plans and endeavors, and I hope you look forward to the return of Song of Rapture with a bit more that needs to be hashed out in the city of Roka. It's never that simple on Song of Rapture. There's always a lot of fun and nitty-gritty details that we like to get ourselves lost in, which makes for a really rich but lengthy play experience. But you won't miss out on anything, that's for sure, so we'll be coming back with this interesting little dream sequence, not next week, but the following week, the 21st of May, next Thursday, at our normal time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. As will not be live here on Lionhead Gaming, but you will be able to find myself guest starring on a conversation panel on Tavern Tales on Twitch. The link to that will be promoted both in the Discord, which there should be a link to that in the chat for you to follow through in case you want to join our wonderful little Discord where we can spend all day discussing the merits of gold and character development and how much time should be spent on things and engagement, etc., etc. In the various discussion channels that we have, along with sharing memes and talking about this or that, pop culture, anime, video games, all that kind of stuff. And you'll see links to the upcoming streams this upcoming Sunday. We're returning for Heroes of Thylea, episode 13 now, with the Oracle's Chosen having bested Sidon's Sacrifice by Combat, defeating the horrific six-legged creatures that turn things to stone with a simple glance. Their preparations imbuing them with a much-needed defense against their powerful stony gaze. Even a horrifying and stone water breath imbued basilisk. Not enough to even turn them to stone. Sidon undoubtedly frustrated. Who knows what may happen next with the Oracles chosen, and where their odyssey will take them next as well. So be sure to tune in this Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to find out what happens. And I know you've missed it, I know I have, but coming back around this upcoming Tuesday, hold on to your butts, because it's Kingdoms of the South time, baby, and we're coming back hot and ready for whatever it is our wonderful DM has in store for us. Don't give me that face, Brendan, all right? It's a motto for an entire pizza company. Don't give me that.
They're also dirty.
Dirty,
What?
dirty.
Yeah, pizza's dirty.
Little Caesars is fine.
Good.
It's fine. If all you got is $5,
It's hot and ready. Yeah, but is it good pizza? It's hot
and it's
and it's ready. It's delicious.
That's privilege talking, right? You fucking scrape together some fucking pennies to go get a pizza. It's fucking good enough, goddammit. Shit.
Yeah, it's good enough when it's hot and ready.
Some of you haven't had to scrape together pennies for a Little Caesars pizza, and it shows.
I'm sorry. I don't know what poverty tastes like. My bad.
Fucking Peter over here doesn't speak broke. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. My bad.
Sorry.
You're
I'm
my
sorry.
lord.
Is this some kind of poor joke I'm too rich to understand?
Indeed. But we'll be returning for Kingdoms of the South this upcoming Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at our regular time, and then continuing on from there. So I want to thank you all so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and find somebody else, hopefully playing some D&D on Twitch, and go ahead and give them a host, give them a little love and support. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, may your dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Let y'all.
Pizza.
Noodles.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Wash your hands. Jesus. Wash your foreskin, but don't touch it.